This week on Gettin Tech, we've got Ian Knight. So he's quite a few things. One of them is the sponsor of this podcast. So that's a big advertisement for the whole podcast. If you listen, no, but it's not. We actually just spoke about his actual life. He's the top 5% of real estate agents in Australia, but he was also a high school dropout, right? So he went from being the bullied kid that had no direction in life, that was doing pointless jobs and feeling like he was constantly outcasted, into becoming in the top 5% of real estate agents in Western Australia. So we go into that quite a bit. We go into the way that, square peg, round hole. We've spoken about this quite a bit. We go into that a bit. We did touch on a conspiracy theory that Ian has about the water pressure in some certain suburbs in Western Australia and what's going on there.
The civility to that.
Yes. Oh, there it is. It's I like it. It's when you point the things out, I'm like, I can see it. We definitely went into quite a lot about sales and how Ian's brain thinks about sales, how I think about sales, how it works. So if you were thinking about selling a house, obviously this will be the advertisement that I'm going to do instead of cutting to it. You can see how he works. So you can go to him and go, I know exactly what he's going to do to help me achieve the goal I want to achieve. Anything you want to add before we... That was it? That's most of the pod.
That's pretty much it. We didn't actually talk about much about that, but...
No, we spoke about the way you think about sales. And it might not be how you sell a house exactly, but the process in your head behind of how you sell things. I mean, we did speak about a vacuum. We spoke about how we sold a fucking pointless cable at Harvey Norman. We spoke about these things, but once you see the methodology behind it, you can understand how that can be applied to a house, how that can be applied to dealing with customers, how it can be applied to all that stuff. So we might not have said directly how you sell a house, which would probably be kind of boring. But then someone's probably thinking right now, they spoke about how he sold a pointless cable. Trust me, it's worth it.
If I could sell a cable that has no real world application other than delivering a signal for the same thing that would deliver 10th the price, imagine what I can do for your home that I actually believe in.
See? All right. Enjoy.
You ever at a gig and you're just with someone that their enthusiasm for the gig is just absolutely ruining your gig because they want to sing and they want to clap so hard and so loud and so out of tune that you're sitting there going, well, this is great. And it's seated, so I can't just walk off and go somewhere else. This is now my person. I'm next to this person, and
it's probably me. I'm probably the one ruining it for you.
You're that guy, the guy that knows every word but not the key.
Oh, deliberately.
Oh no, brutal. That's.
I don't really go to seated gigs.
You don't go to seated gigs.
Nah, for comedy, yes.
Yeah.
For music, it's hard. I get frustrated at a seated gig for music because it's you don't want to go and sit at unless you've pumped it out. To be fair, I went and seen Death Clock and I was seated for all of that, but my ankle was totally fingered.
Yeah, okay.
And it was like watching a big cartoon.
No, so seated gigs for comedy, obviously they're always seated. I guess the equivalent that I'm talking about is when you've sat next to the person who is impulsively laughing and making sure that everyone else knows that they're also laughing. Have you ever sat next to that guy at a gig?
No. I think I'd be like, shut up, cunt.
Yeah, no.
I do those people go to comedy gigs? Do people go to comedy gigs that need attention?
Yes.
Really? Because to me that's weird.
And if they're not getting the attention, they're the ones that end up heckling.
They're hecklers.
So
I've got one of those mates.
Okay.
But he doesn't laugh loudly. He just doesn't shut the fuck up.
I was talking the whole way through.
I had to leave a gig. I literally left the gig with him and I was like, I can't do it anymore. I was like, you need to shut the fuck up. I was like, I care about this shit. I care about this shit so much, dude. You can't keep making fucking noise. You need to just shut up and listen. He's like, I can't help it. And I was like, I can't. I've got to go.
Was it just having a conversation? Just wants to have a chat or give his commentary?
With them or says something to you about the joke or it's just not locked in to the jokes.
Yep.
But he is. He's paying attention, but he just always has to have an input. And I'm like, bro, they don't. They're trying super hard to make sure everyone here is having a good time. And you're trying super hard to make sure you have a good time, but you're fucking it up for everybody else.
Oh, now this is where streaming services have revolutionized movie watching with with that person, right? Because
So you have to take them to cinema.
well, you don't have to take them to cinema. Yes, that's a one. Two, like they ask a question, right? Now you're trying to observe the plot line, and then I'm just like, pause. Okay, in this particular scene, this person, right? So I can get it all out because it's like, cool, pause.
Go back to the show.
So as you can see, now I just missed that bit. I'm just going to go back and I'm going to try and recap it. I'm just going to pause again. Now they hate it, but
Stop asking me questions.
they get the message fairly quickly. Like, I'm not going to miss out on crucial components of the story because you're not able to go with the flow. Like, what's happening? How's this person? It's like, I don't know. I've only just started watching it. Well, as you can see, he was in that room and now he's in this room. Okay.
We're watching the same movie.
I'm going to press play again. You good? Good. All right. Fantastic. We can all move forward. But yeah, at a live show, that person, no, it's too much. I can't deal.
Yeah, look, I don't copy the music because like I'm getting blind again, going to the pit.
Yeah, in the pit.
But yes, in comedy shows, it's a nightmare. It's the worst. You're like, I can't. I was like, these people might have met me, and they're gonna see me with you who won't shut the fuck up. And I was like, it's gonna ruin my reputation. I'm out of here, dude. I can't fucking do this.
Yeah, just be the one that's absolutely cooking you. I've actually got. You know how you get those people that know too much about you now that you're a comedian?
I haven't got that yet.
You haven't got that yet?
No.
Okay.
But I'm also like elusive.
Oh, okay.
Because people don't, there's a false idea that everyone has about me.
Okay. So
It's like, and no one believes half the shit I say. So it's not like, there's just what is that cunt? Is more like what it is. And but people like probably just avoid it because you're like, is that a problem or what? What is it? I don't know.
so you're sort of running into that thing where you're telling your real stories and people thinking they're made up?
Well, there's part of that, but then it's also, is it made up? Like, you're like, he could be telling the truth because he seems that unhinged.
Okay.
But then sometimes they're like, but then he's saying things that seem too nice, so he can't be that unhinged, and then it's just confusing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Because for some reason people don't believe that both can exist. They don't understand the purpose of yin and yang.
Right.
So you can be both unhinged and unhinged. It's just a half swinging door.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Or people just don't give a fuck.
It's a hard one, but yeah, you got to move between hinged and unhinged. I gave somebody a heads up the other day. I was like, I just want to give you a heads up. If you continue down this path that you're going, you are going to see an unhinged version of me. And I think with everything that we've been through so far, that you don't want to see that unhinged version, right? So rather than telling me the reasons why this has occurred and backing yourself up, let's just move forward with a solution. And it's like, okay, what does that solution look like? And I'm like, okay, credit for the difference, and you don't make margin. I want the builder's margin back. And he's like, okay, I'm going to get off the phone now. And he went, and that ended up being the outcome.
Yeah.
But you got to give people a little heads up if you're going to go unhinged.
Well, I mean, my version of unhinged isn't that bad.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't do any fucking real radical spazzy shit anymore. I haven't needed to in a long time, and I don't. Talking is easier than doing spastic shit.
Oh, okay. So my version of unhinged is probably different to your version of unhinged. My version of unhinged is unnecessarily getting a lawyer involved.
That's
just because you've upset me now, and I know that it's going to cost me more to get a lawyer involved. But all of a sudden, I'm just going to go ridiculous with this. Lawyers are involved. We're there. Like, don't make me do that.
Same. Yeah, it's going too far for nothing.
I don't mean to. I just feel that I have to.
Got frustrated.
Yep.
Frustrated.
So I got the keys to my new house today.
Yes.
So after years in the building industry and building with the companies that I worked for, I got a build done by a company that I had never worked with, which was nice because I didn't have to play nice. So the reason with these sundries, right? They're too fizzy.
They're too fizzy? Okay.
They're too fizzy. Now, if I rock up to a venue and I go to the counter and somebody gets that and just pours it like that and gets all of that out.
They flatten it for you.
Yeah, just flatten it a bit. But they don't do it. It gets to a sort of a reasonable level.
So if fast for 2 cups.
If they just did that for me...
Well, I'll cheers you on your house today.
Cheers, my bro. Thank you. If they did that, if I show up to the venue and they do that, I'm straight up tipping them.
Oh, well, look at that. Hot tip.
Hot tip.
If you're serving Ian and you want a tip, just make his can flat.
Yep, no, not flat. And mainly with the 196.
Just flatter.
These are so ridiculously carbonated, it is insane. But they are sugar-free and pretty tasty.
The aftertaste of those things is what I get disappointed with. I get this layer in my mouth that I hate. I don't know how to explain it.
Give this one a ball.
Oh, I've had them.
Oh, you've had those ones?
Yeah. It's just it's the day after. There's like a layer for drinking them. Them and any of the most sugar-free drinks, but those ones, it's a pain in my ass. It's good, but because then it encourages me not to drink sugar-free drinks, which encourages me to drink sugar or just water or water.
Well, what I can't seem to find is just straight gin and soda with a twist of lemon in a can. Just make my life easy. No sugar, no sweeteners, no nothing.
They exist. I've seen them. I'll link you afterwards.
All right, link me.
All right, let's start this. I'll give you a question because so far we've just rambled on about some shit that is still relevant. But reason we got you on, obviously, is you're the new sponsor of the pod.
Yeah.
So this isn't the ad. The ad was probably before this. This is the man. So if you're thinking about selling a house, you've got to listen to this podcast because you're going to find out exactly how he will sell your house.
On top of that, I've actually put on a buyer's agent as well now. So got a full-time buyer's agent because people call me up and go, I need help buying a house. And I'm like, that's kind of not my deal. I'm on the other side of the fence. And if you want someone to help you, now you go through my buyer's agent. My buyer's agent is not going to negotiate with me, but other people's properties.
Yeah.
So basically, a lot of people, they look for a really good agent to buy from. And I'm like, if you're buying a house, you want to find the worst agent, the laziest agent, the most useless agent, the one that hasn't done anything to
advertise the property in any way usefully.
Or get the house presented properly beforehand. It's just like, it is what it is, doors open, let's get it sold. All right, the guys that want to do an off-market deal. All right? Buyer's agent, that is the person. He will target the weak for you so that you don't have to. Such a better service. Because I get so many calls, people needing to buy in the current market. At the moment, yes, absolutely. If you are selling a house and you want it looked after, that's my jam. And it's very interesting.
There's a pretty good tip for anyone listening. Like, directly from Joondalups number one agent at the moment?
No, actually, Joondalup's number one agent is Matt Hemsworth.
Okay.
I've got a little bit of a spread.
Okay,
so
yes. Because you move around.
I'm number 2 in 4 suburbs at the moment.
Okay. That's better than being number 1 in 1.
Yes, it is better than... and, like, with the exception of one suburb that I work, overall, I do more than anyone who has market share of one particular one. So, and that is a absolute hot tip, is...
look for the weakest real estate agent when you're buying.
When you're buying, if they have absolutely zero personality or you find them abrupt and they've got the house that you want, well, everyone else is going to find them useless, rude and abrupt and difficult to deal with. And if they're difficult to deal with, you then go in there hard with an offer and it's, well, other people are like, oh, kind of like that place, but the agent really put me off. And I'm sure I'm not everyone's cup of tea as well.
But that's good because you find the right buyers for your customers, not the ones that are trying to like cheapen you out and fucking make sure they get a best deal. Like, so I guess what some people's mistake is, what you're pointing out, is what I forget, is when it comes to real estate agents, probably a big difference between you as me as well from what you used to do when you were a builder's rep, is real estate agents sell something that already exists.
Yep.
And when we were selling new builds, we were working for the client to help them build what they want.
Yes.
It's two very different things.
Yep.
Because as a real estate agent, people are like, real estate agents suck, they rip people off. They rip off the people who are dumb and want to burn money, but they're not often. But for the person they're working for is the person they're selling the house for. And they're trying to get as much for them as possible. the one thing I think that you'll be able to point this out very clearly, and you'll probably have a better way to explain it, is real estate agents don't actually dictate the price in any way whatsoever.
Oh goodness, I wish I did. Imagine I had the power. I was actually, I've been getting on some of my advertising, I'm getting like some people, you just go, how sad is your existence that my advertising interrupted your day so much that you felt the need to comment as opposed to simply move past it, right? I know that's social media. I get it.
It's life.
That's life. These people, like, it's simply an ad where I'm, walking around, you want to get the best price you had, right? The whole John Hughes sort of approach of that personalised.
I've seen your
You've
reels.
seen the ads, right? Ads, the paid sponsored ads, different to the reels. The reels, I'm trying to be funny and make people like me, whereas the paid sponsored stuff, that's just about
Very
let's do
professional.
business, yeah. And these people, they comment, real estate agents like you are the reason that the price is so high. And I'm thinking, you know what? Rather than hiding these guys, I need to antagonise them a little bit further, screenshot that, and then say...
That's your ad.
And then the ad's going to be, hey guys, according to the internet, I'm the reason prices are so high. So you could go with any agent or you can go with me. I'm single-handedly driving the prices through the roof. I'm thinking about that sort of thing now because...
It's a good angle.
It's an interesting angle and...
Completely wrong, but it's interesting.
But the guys that get the most traction are the ones that generate a bit of hate. And
hate comes from when success is around. It's undeniable. There's jealousy for one, and then there's also like you're not actually the reason for their hate a lot of the time. It's that you're in a position of a person they hate that they can't project their hate onto.
Yes.
So that you become like the proxy of where they can send it.
Yeah, I can be the beacon of hate.
Yeah. So like for real estate agents, if someone got ripped off, if someone had a bad, what the fuck do you call like a rental lady?
Oh, property manager.
Property manager, real estate agents cop that.
They hate real estate.
So it's completely different. Like I had fucking some terrible property managers. I'm friends with real estate agents. I don't have a property manager friend. Because I know what they do.
Just a question. Have you got a friend that does paving?
I know a person does paving. They were my friend in primary school, but not anymore, but yes.
It's an interesting phenomenon. No one I know has ever told me their friend does paving.
Oh, actually, there's a second guy I know that I was friends with that did paving as well.
Yeah. Was friends, know a guy. Oh, no, it's my friend's friend.
Well, paving is like a no-trade business.
Yeah.
It's like nearly anyone can pave if you spend some time trying to do it, because it's just a matter of like flattening floor with a level, compacting it, and laying fucking bricks. It's easier than anything.
But I'm concerned that pavers don't have any friends because...
No, they do. They're just other pavers.
Pavers only hang out with pavers. That's
it's like concreters. So you got any concreters friends?
Yeah, one.
One? Is he a crackhead? Not that you know of.
There's signs.
There's signs, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You're like, fuck, I really didn't think of this, but now I'm saying it.
You nailed it.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. Like, trades have a very specific thing of levels of who you can deal with and who you know and what they do. That's why. Paving's like one of those cowboy trades.
Yep.
And usually people get bored of it because it's shit. Like, laying bricks is probably easier than laying pavers because you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it upright. Paving, you're hunched over the entire fucking time.
It's a rough
on the floor. It would just be so dog shit for your back.
Yep. Yeah, I look at that job and I think to myself, because I've seen a couple and they're proper old boys. Actually, my neighbour's father-in-law is...
Oh, they're 32. They just look 60.
Well, no, my neighbour's father-in-law is like 60-something and still doing it. Shows up with this team of Macedonian blokes and they just get it done. They're all old, right? And I'm looking at them going, they've been doing that their entire life. I can't even imagine. You remember when 2021 was upon us?
Yeah.
I did...
The era of hell.
I mean, it was a time that worked out in my favour, but it was a rough time to go through.
It worked out because you found out how to adapt through the process very well.
Well, adapting's my whole jam. Yeah, and I did. I adapted and like very quickly, like, okay, so I just need to completely and utterly reinvent myself. We can do this. I forgot where I was going with that. What was I?
Old boy pavers. The 60-year-old Macedonian pavers, yes.
Yeah, so I was like, oh man, sales is too hard, man. I'm like done with sales, and I'm going to figure out something different. And my
Laboured
mate,
for a day. It was like,
dude, I did an hour and a half of labouring for my mate Dave, who runs a retic business.
an hour and a half?
An hour and a half.
Yeah.
I went home and I hit the phone so hard.
Yeah.
I just hit the phones, man. I got my grind back on. Like
Nothing will motivate you more than half a day's actual work.
half a days of like physical
Labour.
work.
Yeah.
Like,
Fuck this.
no thanks. And he does it every day. Like these guys are doing it every day, and you're like,
Surely you would have done a labouring job before being like a salesperson, right?
yeah, like. So I've always been retail, customer service.
Even like, but you were a high school dropout at 14, right?
Yep.
How the fuck do you go from that to retail service?
So we'll quickly rattle off a couple of jobs that I've been sacked from, right?
Okay.
So very, very first job was like working at this herbal farm, where like they were growing herbs and doing like naturopathy and stuff like that.
Okay. How old were you there?
13, 14, like thereabouts. So it was like
So it was like one of your first jobs.
one of the first jobs. This was whilst I was at I want to say one of the spaz schools.
What did you go to like a special school kind of thing?
Yeah. So I probably would have been like, as the Americans call it, the short bus parade.
Yeah, sped schools. Yeah. Sped schools.
So
I didn't So I remember when I was younger, we'd have ASU classes, like education support unit classes, when I was in like primary school, and I think they had one or two in the high school I was in, but we had like a complete Malibu school next door, which had like wheelchairs, like completely like disabled people kind of school.
oh yeah, we went.
Was that what you went to?
No. Okay, right. So I did year 8. I managed to hold a week together in a private school.
Yeah.
And then I kind of enrolled myself into a regular like public school. Like after a week, I was just like, well, this isn't going to work. So I enrolled myself into
Just too religious to tie it to up throughout what was kind of like the...
Well, within my first week, I woke up one day and I put shoes on out of habit, and I didn't put the right shoes on, and that had me sat in timeout for an entire day.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not going to manage this. This is
You just like the uniform rules and bullshit.
it was just like, this is where it starts. I'm 1 week in. I'm already in detention for the wrong shoes. Like
I've got no chance.
it's no chance. So I took myself out, enrolled into a school, and told my parents I've taken myself out of the school and I've enrolled in another school.
So did you do the paperwork to go to the public school?
Sort of half filled it out and then shoved it under my parents' nose to sign. I need this signed for
In
school.
year 8?
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably a pretty good indicator that you were going to be successful.
Relatively smart, right?
That's more than I was expecting out of this beginning of this. When you were like, I went to a spaz school. I'm like, oh, there's no way it was.
Well, that's just the start of it. Like, so I managed to get through the first year, not too bad, right?
Public school.
Then year 9 kicked in, and for some reason, all of a sudden, like the tables had turned on me, and I don't know why. All of a sudden, some of the teachers that I thought I got along with suddenly disliked me, and the new teachers that I got that year had been warned about me and were automatically. So it's like 6 months into year 9.
Yeah, you were judged.
They sent me for some testing, and then they put me into this this school that was operating over the road from another high school, which was for, I don't know what they thought we were, but ultimately they watched us through one-way glass during playtime. You go to lunch, go to recess, right? Just play out there. And 3 or 4 people, like there was like...
Is the school still running?
I don't know, man. It's called Andrew Ralph.
Okay, right. I'm
Give-
going to quickly
give-
look
give,
at what you're talking.
give it a Google, right? So,
I'm curious.
yeah.
This
so-
sounds like an experiment.
Well, I think it might have been, man. So it was the Andrew Ralph Memorial School and operated at the health clinic opposite Warwick Senior High School. So,
No, that's a person.
it was named after a person.
It was a vet. St Andrew's Grammar in Dianella.
No.
Andrew Ralph School,
Andrew
Educating
Ralph
HQ, 5 years and 10 years ago. 5 years, 10 months ago.
I mean,
In
dude,
Warwick, yeah, I don't think it's open anymore by the looks of it.
so I mean, we are going back, I guess, 30 years. So it's a little while. 20 years? 30 years, 30
Andrew
years.
Ralph School.
Andrew Ralph Memorial.
Yeah, it's with an E. Ralph. Memorial. Okay, yeah, keep it going.
Right. So
One can do about two things at once.
So they put me in that one for about 6 months where we're sort of observed, right? And then after that one, they're like, oh, yeah, you're sort of normal-ish.
Kind of scrubbed from the internet. I'm going to...
That's a worry.
There might be a conspiracy here. You might have been a part of some X-Men project.
So they put us in, after school, I'd catch the same bus home as the Warwick Senior High School kids, right?
So you were allowed out in the wild afterwards.
Oh, it was. I would have to attend and leave.
Yeah,
right?
but it wasn't like...
Wasn't
So
padded
they obviously
rooms
didn't think you were like disabled or anything. Or they didn't think that you were like completely useless.
Well,
Was it like a behavioural school or something?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, behavioural school. With kids that pull their eyebrow hair out and pull their hair out and have outbursts and stuff like that.
Yeah, kids that they give Dexies nowadays and go, hey, the speed will fix you.
Yeah. I guess these are just kids that would be, that's okay. You've got the tisms or you've got ADHD. Take some medication.
Was it like a Montessori school?
No,
No, okay, cool.
it was a different beast.
Yeah.
It was just a different thing. And we caught the same bus as the Warwick Senior High School kids. So they knew that I was from one of the special schools.
So that would have been like, yeah. But even if it wasn't a special school, there's always school rivalry, isn't it, anyway? But they just found an angle that was good to destroy you with.
No, they didn't give a shit whilst I was there.
No, so I mean, when you get on the bus afterwards, you're a different school, so the rivalry's there to try and like...
There was nothing.
Okay.
No. But 6 months in there, right, they're like, well, maybe it was the school and the environment. Let's try a different school. So I went to Warwick Senior High School over the road. Now I'm the kid from the sped school. That's where it got fun. Right?
Yeah.
So
not only... But you went to Warwick instead of the original school you started at.
Yep.
So you were at fucking 4 different schools within 3 years.
Well, that's 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, 4. Yeah. 1,
'cause
2,
primary
3. Yeah. 4 schools. We're at 4 schools. By the time we're entering year 10, right?
Yeah, that alone is like chaos.
Yeah. And now I'm the kid from the sped school.
Yeah.
So I spend the next 6 months obviously getting bullied, picked
Yep.
on, tortured, nightmare. And
Were you tall back then?
yeah. So I was the standout.
But were you lanky tall?
No, I was fat.
Oh, fat and tall.
Fat, tall. Like,
Oh, but you were nice.
I was just gentle.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you're fat and tall with a bit of violence in you, you would have been the scary kid. But if you were gentle, then you're double fucked.
You're double fucked.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how that went down.
Yeah.
So 6 months there, and then they were like, well, this isn't working, because I would run into problems repeatedly, and they're like, well, since it's you all the time, you're obviously the problem.
But it would change between people, but then people were still in the same group.
Yep.
Yeah.
So detention.
You think that schools will be able to pick up on this shit if a kid picked up on this shit, right?
Well, I didn't really pick up on it.
You might not have, but I mean, I did as a kid. I watched this, and you can see it as an adult.
I mean, at the time, I was conditioned to accepting the fact that I was defective.
Yeah.
So that's just how that rolled. So then, from Warwick, right, there was a new program coming out, right? So I've just spent 6 months of just copping it, bullied, right?
Did you get beat up, or was it just like mentally tortured?
Oh, both. Yeah.
Both, yeah.
Yeah. So, blood nose, fat lips.
This was 90s as well, right?
Yeah. So early 90s.
Early 90s, yeah.
So, I'd come out.
Violent times.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you not end up loving Limp Bizkit?
I do love Limp Bizkit. Who doesn't love Limp Bizkit? Something wrong with people that don't like Limp Bizkit, man.
I love Limp Bizkit.
So there's a new program that the TAFE had set up so that kids who just couldn't finish school at school could finish their school at TAFE.
Yeah, that still exists. Yeah, you can do year 11 and 12 and 10. So.
Year 10, you could do year 10 equivalency, right? And every single kid that had gone into this particular program, it was about 16, 17 kids that got into it, been run out of a community centre in Belden, was a bully.
Was a bully?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they got kicked out for being too violent in school.
Yep.
So then you got doubled down on.
Oh, could you imagine?
Fucking rough.
So I wasn't
Jesus.
So I wasn't going back to school after that. So it just been job after job after job, right? So
you pretty much you're like, I'm just getting tortured. I'm just getting tortured. Did you finish year 10 at TAFE?
Yeah, I got my year 10 equivalency. I got my certificate of general education at 15. I wasn't going back to school. I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do, but I figured I've at least got something of a certificate.
You would have been so much stuck in survival mode that whole time.
Yep.
It would have been impossible to come up with what do I want to do? I just don't want to deal with this.
Just anything but this.
Yeah.
Absolutely anything but this. And I spent a fair bit of time trying to give this persona of being a tough rap guy. So I had the baggy jeans and the big jacket because I was trying to look as threatening as possible.
Yeah.
To try and be left alone, which none of that went. None of that went great for me.
It never worked?
No one.
It's probably because you didn't back it up at least once.
Yeah,
add a little bit of violence into that. You would have been sweet, dude.
I know.
You might have gone down the worst path, but so probably worth it.
But it was just full on. I was about 6 months ago. I had this great idea for the tattoo that I would want to get. Right?
Because you're still clean skin, yeah.
Yeah, still clean skin. I was going to get a 31 because pretty far for a while.
Pretty far for a while. Yep, I know exactly.
Which because I was the ultimate tryhard. Just trying so hard to represent an image, trying to create that so that maybe people would, think that I was cool or.
But you're trying hard is out of survival.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How many people are try hard because they're just sick of fucking sucking?
Yeah, there's that too.
It's not I want actually now you're making me want to think how many. I'm trying to think of anyone that I grew up with considered as a try hard. How many of them were only a try hard because it was a survival mechanism?
But how amazing, right? One of the worst things that you could be back in the day was someone who made an effort. Oh, you're a tryhard. It's that is the worst thing you could be. Oh, look at you making effort. Look at you trying to fit in, right?
It is only on the bottom end as well, but
Yep.
because I suppose everyone would tease nerds because they were smart.
Yeah.
Because they were trying.
If you were making an effort, you are a tryhard.
I wonder if that's still the case, with kids nowadays. Because with my kids, my eldest kid doesn't have any problem with trying hard.
Yeah.
He tries hard at everything. He is so fucking competitive. He gives a fuck.
Yep.
He cares about it. He doesn't like losing. None of my kids like fucking losing.
I think the competitive spirit's different to the tryhard because tryhard was always about people trying to be presenting an image. It wasn't about trying to be good at sport or trying to be good at. It was just about trying to present an image.
That's actually a good point. It's not you're a tryhard because you're not actually doing. You're not trying at anything. You're just trying to pretend to be something.
Yeah, you're trying to pretend to be something in the hopes that maybe I won't get kicked in the back today.
Maybe people won't torture me as much, as opposed to just following something that you love and being a nerd in that.
Yep, being a nerd and making an effort and actually following through with that and not caring because. I think
everyone cares. I don't think any kids don't really care. The ones that care the least, I have to use adults as an example because I don't think any kid never cares. I think they become completely and utterly careless, but they're more suicidal and absolutely off the rails lunatic-y.
But okay, suicidal kids, they care the most. Like they're the ones that
Yeah, I mean, not suicidal, like reckless.
Okay.
Reckless is probably more not suicidal, like reckless. Whereas someone would consider it suicidal because you're like, that kid's doing retarded shit. He's going to get really hurt, but they're like, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm prepared to take the risk because this is making me
genuinely
fun.
don't give a fuck.
Don't care.
Like, this makes me feel happy somehow.
But yeah, I was like, the 31 would be like, if I was to get a 31 tattoo, it'd just be reminiscent of like, the aspiring tryhard, because Pretty Fly for a White Guy is a song about someone that had no business trying to represent the image that he's representing. And I resonated with it only to find out that there's just a massive trend of people getting their 31 tattoo. Like, it's huge. There's so many people getting a 31 tattoo.
It doesn't really surprise me, that.
No, it doesn't surprise me.
There were a lot of people that were like misfits more. And it's like it's like what's the best revenge? Is to like succeed.
Yeah.
Because everyone that ever bullied you is like, fuck, that dude did better than me in the end.
And also to succeed in the space that people picked on you for. So like being but obviously at a later point in life, much later in life, I embraced being unique and individual. Yes. So now the fact that having a 31 isn't original, I'm still clean skin.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That was the same as like the whole indie trend when it was about. The indie trend was like, oh, I'm an individual, but then everyone started dressing the same. I was like, you're not anymore.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm more indie and use the thinking I'm like whatever I am, but I'm just like not you.
How can alternative be the number one music genre?
Because it's alternative to the mainstream. That's the only difference.
But alternative was the number one mainstream genre.
Yeah, but mainstream as in what's pushed by marketing companies on a whole. But it's a yin yang, you know what I mean?
Okay, so I mean...
I'm agreeing with what you're going, but yes. Yeah. I'm trying to be devil's advocate.
Sorry, okay. Fine. You can be careful. Sometimes I like, you're not getting me, man.
I'm understanding you. I'm just deliberately poking the bear.
Okay. Because Murmur Records and Sony and stuff like that were pushing the shit out of grunge, all the alternative artists, and they were the number one artists. I mean,
curbing their bets.
How good was the music from the 90s, the alternative? Because for a brief moment in time, good music was just good. But anyways,
what do you like, grunge and shit? Because I was the opposite end of that. I never got into grunge. But I always, you know what? Actually, here's a fun little thought process. I always hated Nirvana because when Nirvana got big, I was just not old enough to get it. And then he killed himself. And people were sad and upset and like it was the end of the world. And I was like, that pussy just killed himself and you're upset? What the fuck is wrong with you people? This cunt just killed himself. I was angry. I was like, somebody who's got it has deliberately taken it away from himself and you feel upset. Like, why are you ruining your own life because someone couldn't accept greatness? Pissed me off.
I'll tell you something. I have a personal guilt for hating on Daniel Johns for no reason.
But what, straight line or actual Silverchair era?
Silverchair era.
I like Silverchair, actually.
Silverchair were absolutely epic, right? But there was a huge number of people, right? Including Courtney Love. Like, so I caught
he was trying to be fucking...
I caught a section of his memoirs as to why this dude... Like, he could, right?
Off the rails.
Could you imagine if Silverchair did a gig right now that would sell out so hard, right?
Yeah, but he was also like a marketing plant. He was like 16 when they released their first album or some shit. He was 100% just like an album company was just like,
we've got this.
Let's fuck this. And just milk this cunt for being Australia's version of fucking Nirvana.
So in his memoirs, he recalls how like Courtney Love got up and said, this guy sings like Eddie Vedder and looks like my dead ex-husband. Fuck this Daniel Johns guy. Right? And like something along those lines. I don't know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But that just like destroyed him. Like he was like, I'm just like singing. And like he's never coming back. Like he says he's never coming back.
Yeah.
But could you imagine if they did come back? Like if people weren't such assholes, that music would actually still be alive today and Australian and global.
Imagine but that's a victim of marketing labels literally just milking humans.
They exploited the shit out of him.
And that's what it is. But that a lot of what music is that. I was thinking about this earlier today, actually. Like, people think they love music, but if they truly loved music, they'd want to find whatever they could that was local. They would want to find the most unknown artist that's really good and be like, I'm enjoying this. This is cool. But a lot of the time, it's just, I've heard a chunk of this in 10 different places. Now I've heard it enough that it becomes familiar that I like it. Not generally going out and hunting for new shit that no one's ever heard of. So I remember in early metal days of early 2000s and stuff, with metalheads, that's what they do.
Yep.
You're like, let's find some shit that no one's heard.
Yep.
And be like, this is dope. Yeah. Because it's like that. That is actually finding music in a way of like, this is cool.
No,
I was advertised the most.
I went mad hunting for local music in 4 or 5 years ago. And then it started to get delivered to my doorstep for a little while at the 60/30.
Oh, yeah.
Man, there's this dude, Stevie Rain from Roses for Ghosts. Have you seen these guys?
Yes.
Like that guy there. And by the way, my assistant looks just like him. And I was like trying to see if I could fire up a thing where like contact Stevie Rain and like get him angry that people are like mistaking him for a real estate agent. Like I think
I think that would work.
It would be like a funny little marketing thing.
Yeah.
And just like create an artificial rivalry between like a Fremantle artist and a real estate agent. Because like, yeah, they look the same. It's quite funny. And I posted one of Stevie Rain's videos in the workplace group chat. And I'm like, hey, what does everyone think of Marco's alter ego? And everyone's just like, what are you on about? Like,
no one got it?
No one got it. There's this guy with tattoos and pink pajamas just like rapping like a mad dog.
Yeah.
And like Marco's this super conservative South African kid who just happens to have long curly hair and sort of the same facial features. But yeah, I went hunting and there's actually like in Perth, so locally they're pushing a band called Indigo Blaze as like the Australian Limp Bizkit.
I've seen them.
They're obviously not the same as Limp Bizkit.
Well, I was going to say Limp Bizkit's a bit far.
Yeah, Limp Bizkit's a bit...
I've said Indigo Blaze. I wouldn't say Limp Bizkit, but cool.
They're stepping a little bit more into the rap metal phase at the moment, so I guess they're trying to step into that because, like, okay, cool, you're 4 out of 10 on Limp Bizkit, but hey, that's better than 0 out of 10.
Yeah, but have you heard like Limp Bizkit's first album? $3 Bill, y'all?
Is that the one that's got Faith and...
No. Oh, yeah, it's got Faith. No, Faith... Is it in that? Yeah, it is. No, Faith is on that.
$3 Bill's not the first album.
$3 Bill was the first album. Significant Other was the second. Chocolate Starfish is the third.
I'm not going to argue. That sounds reasonable. So yes, then I have heard the first album because I've definitely heard $3 Bill. It's a sick album.
It's not that good, but...
What are you on about?
I was like, I'm not a big fan of that album. I love Limp Bizkit, but the first album, I'm like, fuck, man, if I'd found these cunts at that album, I might not have got in. I found them at Significant Other.
But that had was that
I think Faith was like a hidden track.
There was like that's one of my go-to gym tracks, like dink dink dink.
That's also a George Michael song.
Yes, but they made it that much better.
They did make it pretty good.
That's the thing with cover songs. Cover songs, you have to make something of an improvement. It has to take it to another level.
Different place.
That's quite special what they did. But it also had
Counterfeit was on there, which is good.
Yeah, so there's a few tracks on there, but I mean, it might not have vibed with you at the time.
On a whole, it's still... I've got it in my thing. So I keep testing it every now and then. I'm like,
you're still...
Not a fan. Right. I know Significant Other and Chocolate Starfish, word for word, every single fucking song on the albums. Can sing them without the tune.
So...
Gold Cobra, same.
Limp Bizkit, if they come, I'm seeing them. I will travel to see Limp Bizkit.
I've seen Limp Bizkit.
Where'd you see them?
I seen them at Soundwave one year.
Man, I must have missed that year.
I was front and center. It was great.
And
then they came. They came on my birthday like 2 years later. How have you not seen them?
I only got to the last 3 or 4 Soundwaves.
Yeah, but Limp Bizkit came on their own in October one year. Because when they came back for Soundwave was obviously because that chick got trampled a big day out that year. When they came back in Soundwave, they bring her parents up on stage.
No shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Because they didn't want to come back to Australia because someone died in their mosh pit. A big day out.
But the parents sort of forgave them and...
Yeah, well, I think it was like 2000 or 2001 when that happened. I think it was 2000.
Yeah.
And it was like the first death in a festival in Australia. And it was a Limp Bizkit.
That's sad.
What?
Dying for entertainment. Man,
dying in a mosh pit
doesn't
seems insane.
No, not a fan. Like, I always think to myself, like, when I'm at a festival, like my brain goes to this little place like, fuck. If someone attacked this right now and everyone started to go, like everyone's starting to run, that would be so ugly. Like I get a little... my brain goes to little places from time to time. Like
it's interesting. The only festival that's really been attacked that I can think of was that country music festival in Vegas.
I'm really careful. Don't want to give my ideas, but yeah.
No, but I think like maybe even public shooters think it's like a sacred place. Music is like sacred. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, no, we all like this. Let's not fuck this shit up. School, fuck. Yeah, understandable. You go to school and shoot up. That makes sense because if you're being bullied enough, you get it. You're like, all right, maybe I do need to take a few guns out. But then you're like, have I ever gone to a festival and been like, fuck, this place sucks. Everyone needs to die.
No, true. But I mean, I just assume terrorism is all about just inflicting as much harm as humanly possible with zero.
Yeah, but it's that plus hate. There has to be hate behind it.
See, now, with certain things that happen at a festival, you know, it would seem appropriate, targeted. Like, for example, religious extremists and a Marilyn Manson playing at the festival.
Yeah, but then that totally takes away from the idea of religion. Because you have to be attacking another religion because that's the stupid thing that they do.
Yeah, but you're attacking what you perceive as Satanism, maybe? I don't know. That would seem like a logical thing to me.
To me, that seems so oxymoronish, but... Because like, if you're like, I believe in God and these people are worshipping the devil, I'm going to go kill them all. So then what, you're going to go sacrifice everyone for your God because you don't like their God? So therefore you have been convinced by the devil to take out the devil's work for them.
You see, you're applying logic and reason. What are you doing there? Come on.
Come on. This is how I work.
That's not the deal. That's not how you get people. What's the word when you make people extreme?
Emotional, motivated.
No. Sorry, I'm trying to think of the exact word that they use for when they. The word for making someone an extremist.
You made them an extremist. You've radicalized them.
Radicalized. That's the word I was looking for, right? So if somebody's radicalized...
You made them as cool as possible.
Radical. So you get someone radicalized, right? Now, there's no radicalized person running around with rhyme or reason. Thank you for helping me find that word. You have no idea. For me, that would take me out for an hour, hyperfixating, trying to remember the specific word that I was looking for.
Yeah, you got there.
Yeah, it needed to be there. Like, the word for making someone an extremist.
No, but like... for someone to be radicalized, they're not totally spastic. Like there is rhyme and reason. It's just skewed towards a very specific angle.
Yep.
So you can take like any kind of sales pitch is radicalizing a person to buy.
Okay.
Right? Especially if you think of like hard sellers like door to door. When you're door to door, realistically, you're radicalizing a person to purchase the item that you're planning to sell. Yeah. They weren't planning on buying that item today. You knocked on their door and then you turned them from going, what the fuck, man? What are you doing here? To, oh, I'll buy you shit. So you're radicalizing them in a moment. There is reason.
Later on, when we get to the point of when we're talking like, because I know we're here for a while, we're going to talk about my career in a little bit like that, right?
I'm going to swing back.
You can swing back to
after the school.
I want you to, there was one place that I started working at and I said, hey, I know the deal here. Brainwash me.
Harvey Norman.
No. There was that.
Okay,
right?
because I left Harvey Norman for that exact reason. I did the 2 days in Harvey Norman and went, fuck, you're ripping people off. I'm out. I can't do this.
When I started this particular job, and we'll talk about it later, I said, just brainwash me. I know the deal, right? And they were like, fantastic. And they did, and I was good. It was for a while. Another story.
I think I know the place. I know enough to think I can math this out.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go back to you finished up your TAFE year 10 and you started just doing like servicey jobs. Nothing like crazy labour. It was always like
so fast food restaurants,
wheat farms, shit like that at first.
Fast food restaurants, supermarkets. Like I got a job as the head sausage maker at Action Supermarkets.
Head sausage maker.
I don't know if I was head,
That
but
sounds like a real fun job.
my job was sausage boy.
Cunt.
That was the name of my job.
How long did that
Sausage
last?
Boy. They sacked me after I don't know, just before my probation period ended.
Oh, so just 3 months.
Yeah, they had one dude go on leave. They needed a replacement sausage boy. They taught me enough, and I did it for a little bit.
How monotonous did that seem?
I don't know, man. I was just doing my best to stay employed, eh? Like,
Yeah, okay.
I was just like, and honestly, man, you can be.
Were you like a bit spazzy, but?
I don't know, man. I don't know how other people perceive me. All I knew was that I was the absolute bottom of the social run, and I just had to put up with everything. It didn't matter what it was, what anyone threw at me. I just had to put up with it. That was just my deal.
Did you ever feel like, fuck, I deserve better?
No.
So you were like convinced that you're a shit kicker.
Oh, yeah.
You were, this is what you got to be for the rest of your life. You're like, I suck. I have to do shit.
Yeah, I just accepted the fact that I just needed to get entry-level jobs.
Do you reckon that because you had been convinced at a young age by everybody else, by society, that you were like a spaz, realistically, that you constantly told yourself you're a spaz, so you would unconsciously fuck shit up?
Oh, you don't come to a place like where everyone's on you, everyone treats you in a certain way. It's very hard to rise up from that.
Because, like, I never really had a job where, like, everyone expected me to be a spaz. Like, I was treated like shit, but in my head, I was like, this is unfair. Why am I getting treated like shit? Like, I'm trying fucking hard to do good. And then I'd see people that I knew were doing worse than me that would be treated like better.
Yep.
And it would piss me the fuck. I'd be like, he's doing half of what I'm doing. Yeah. Why the fuck am I still getting treated like shit? But as an adult, and what I've learned as I've become about myself, is that my being comfortable was in a place where people treated me like shit. So I probably bring an energy of treat me like shit, so I try hard.
Yeah. I didn't manage to snap out of that headspace until like my late 20s, man. Like
probably the same.
Yeah, late 20s,
possibly later.
Late 20s, man.
I'd be like 25 actually. Yeah.
Like I was just accepting it. And it wasn't. I think it comes down to how old were you when you left your first job on your own terms?
I technically left my first job on my own terms.
Technically, that doesn't sound like a hard.
So I didn't quit, but I didn't get fired. But I just.
Were you going to get fired?
Well, they just stopped giving me shifts at some point.
There you go.
Because I wasn't really turning up to them.
Yeah. So
like,
if you turned up, would you have continued to get shifts?
Yeah, I reckon so.
Okay.
Because my first job was Kmart. I was getting $8 an hour and I was a recoverer. And you know what a recoverer is? It's just a person that fucking, like, you clean up and you bring all the stuff forward on the shelves. And, like, if I locked in, I was good. But obviously, I was chatting to people because that's what I do. I knew who was doing what, and I would make sure that I wasn't, like, the best because I couldn't be fucked, because that would involve a lot of effort. But I wasn't the worst, so I wasn't, like, a target.
So
I didn't care, because I worked with someone who was, like, 24 when I was, like, 16 or something. I remember this is the exact thought I had. And I remember going, this is your fucking life.
Yeah.
You work at Kmart as an adult. Because I was a teenager. I was still in school.
Yeah.
Like, you work as Kmart as an adult. You fucking suck. Your life is shit. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. So then at that point, I was like, I can't try hard here because I don't want to be you. And then I kind of just was like, it was more often to have sick days and just like I wouldn't turn up, and I stopped taking it seriously in any way whatsoever.
So technically, you at that point where you actually left a job on sort of your own terms?
I just rocked up one day after I'd not been going, because that was before emails and shit. Like, I didn't even have an email address, I don't think. You just kind of go there and check the roster on the wall.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not on the roster. And they're like, oh, yeah. I was like, oh, dope. Just fucking like, I'd probably taken like 3 sick days in a row, and I was only getting like 1 or 2 shifts a week. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not on the roster. And then, oh, yeah. And I was just like, oh, I don't really give a fuck, actually.
Yeah,
So
it's like, Yeah, I've had those are interesting jobs to leave. The ones where you're like, we don't want you, and you don't want to be there at the same time.
We just kind of like mutually broke up.
Mutual breakup.
We were just like, you know what? I realize that this is a job for losers. I rate myself higher than this with zero skill or ability.
Yeah.
So, but I was also like paying some cunt to steal shit from there.
How many years is the statutory limitations in relation to
They got caught.
prosecution?
They got caught. They got caught.
All right.
They got busted.
They got done.
But they were stealing heaps of shit. I was just buying some of it.
Right.
Yeah. I tried to get them to steal me an iPod back then. Couldn't steal me an iPod, so they stole me like a MP3 player. Mm. But man, that shit was daylight robbery back in the day. I had 12 songs on this fucking MP3 player. I paid $100 to a dude when I was making $8 an hour to steal it because it was worth $300 at the time.
I paid for my first house with those MP3 players.
That doesn't surprise me yet. Yeah. I tried buying them off eBay and selling them at school.
Yeah,
actually, I did do that. I did that for about 10.
Yeah, so I those MP3 players, we'd like buy like a 128 megabyte MP3 player from the suppliers. We'd buy them in for about $70,
which is still insane.
And then we'd sell them for about $200. Right, we were getting 10% of the GC. That was our deal on top of our base. Right. 13, do that 10 times a day, do that 5 days a week. All of a sudden, you've got yourself an income. So I love those MP3 players, but man, it was daylight robbery because it was very, very cheap technology, and it was just. But what I loved about it, man, it was drag and drop.
You got to pick what you got to put on there.
Yeah, you just dragged it and dropped it. Now, I told people, hey, these are drag and drop for 3 years before I actually figured out what drag and drop actually meant.
So you were just repeating what you got taught?
Yes, parrot.
Yeah.
Parrot fashion. So I was the ultimate. So when I find my strides as a salesperson, and this is not.
Yeah, but how many, so you didn't do any labouring jobs before that? Because I imagine if you had that so much like self-hate, you're on a labouring site would have been a nightmare.
So labouring, I think I've managed to get through a recruitment company, a couple of labouring jobs here and there.
Or when really shitty labouring jobs where it's like you're doing the dumbest shit.
Yeah, I vaguely remember getting it was supposed to be a week at a mattress company, and what we were essentially doing was getting the old mattresses and breaking down the clips so that the metal in the mattress could be recycled.
Yeah, that's them. They're really shitty jobs.
Yeah, they sacked me after a day because I wasn't good enough at pulling a mattress apart.
Yeah.
My hand was worn out, man.
Yeah, because it's Matotna's dog shit.
Well, but also, man, my hands, see these beautiful hands? It's just not,
So that was probably your most laborious job you did?
They sacked me after a day, dude. I had a few bits and pieces here and there where I was there for a day or anything like that. So...
How many jobs did you have for a day?
I honestly, man, so this is where I ended up in sales, man. Because... I became good at getting jobs. Right?
You became a people person from getting jobs, but not being able to keep them.
Interview well enough to get a job, right? But I'll just be like, this job sucks, because I'd apply for any job, and then I'd go there and go, this is existence. This. It was.
I know that feeling very well. That's every time I think about leaving sales, I think back to any of those jobs. Mm-hmm. And then I go, bro, we both know you're lying to yourself if you're getting out of sales. You talking to people.
Back to sales, dude.
It's the best. There's nothing better than talking to a human being and helping them get what they want. Because I look at sales differently the way I started. Mm-hmm. And I know you do. Mm-hmm. Is you're helping people get what they want.
Yep.
You're just connecting the dots of what humans haven't connected for themselves.
Yep. We just go, with sales, I mean, just to really quickly cap that off, cool, I know how to get the job. And ultimately, sales is about getting the job. Once you've got the job, you hand it over, the job gets done.
Yeah, to the organisers, the people who do the actual work.
Yep, exactly right. So we moved on from that space. But realistically, if I'm trying to sell to somebody, I'm looking for a problem, man. Like, if you don't have a problem that I can solve, I don't know how to sell you anything.
Which you can't.
Like, it's like, whereas some guy, you know, all those failure sales guys that like, I don't do sales anymore because I just like got sick of lying to people. It's like, well, don't lie to people.
Oh yeah.
It's like if
this is a common subject on the pod. Anytime someone brings salespeople, I'm like, you know, the ones that say that sales is lies, those cunts could never sell.
That's why, like,
They suck.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, I was like really good, man. I really enjoyed ripping people off, but it just got too hard. It's like,
You're like,
whoa,
no, we didn't enjoy it for one, and you weren't good at it.
Like, if you like, first rule of sales is make sure you actually believe in the product. Now,
First rule of being good at sales, make sure you believe in the product.
yep.
If you don't believe in the product, it's the hardest job in the world.
So,
In the world.
so something I like to tell about, love talking about with sales and sales careers in general, right? Is the vessel of bullshit, right? So, we were talking about drag and drop and how I was just essentially repeating what I said. So one of the areas that I could be taken advantage of in my early career was
Believe in bullshit.
believe in bullshit, right? So if I could believe the bullshit and then I could learn it well enough and I could repeat it.
Yeah.
Harvey Norman, Monster Cable. Now,
Say monster cable.
Monster Cable.
Monster cable, this would be, I bet you I know what this is, some call service that no one ever used. Was it like a warranty?
Nope.
All right.
Hard product. Hard
Okay.
physical product. Right. So, I mean, I'll go through this one.
Sounds dog shit. Now you're calling it a monster cable. I feel like this is like a PowerPoint extender.
I'm going to sell it to you now.
Okay.
Right? You walked in, right? You've been saving your money and you spotted that amazing Sony Bravia TV, right? You go, oh, I like that TV. Yeah, it's one of the last of the Japanese ones. The new ones come from China. Oh, yeah, 1080p. Progressive, absolute fantastic imagery. It's like, fantastic. I'll take that. Just the TV? Oh, yeah, I just want to watch the TV. It's like, but this TV's got 1080p. Oh, well, yeah. So TV broadcast is at 480i tops, right? You're not going to get 1080p.
This is an upscaling cable.
Patience, Darcy.
Can't help myself.
Patience, Darcy. Right. So this TV does.
This is the process I go through when someone tries to sell me something.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck
I
is
get it, dude. I just went car shopping with my mum yesterday. That's another story I'll tell you about that. Like, I know the sales guy, lovely guy, but the process, like I'm there to buy something.
You already know what you want. Give me that.
This transaction can move forward. We could have been done in 15 minutes, but no, it's got to take 2 hours. It's got to eat into my day, right? So you want this TV.
That's a shit salesperson.
You
Take the fucking deal and walk away, motherfucker.
take the deal now. Like, you can take it. So you want this TV. But then I point out to you that, well, this TV is capable of this resolution. But if you don't have a Blu-ray player, you don't actually have the ability to get the full image out of that. So when you want to go to Blockbuster, because that was a thing back in the day, you want to be able to rent the Blu-rays and get the maximum. Cool, I'll take the Blu-ray player. That's $300 to $400, right? You're not going to say no to the Blu-ray player. Now, the Blu-ray player comes with a cable, but that cable is a standard cable. That cable is not oxygen-free copper with gas-injected polymer with a lifetime warranty able to carry the full extent of the signal that is future-proof, right? And we would sell a cable that was more expensive than the Blu-ray player to connect the Blu-ray player to the TV. Now,
This
newsflash.
shit still exists.
I know.
And people still buy it.
I know.
This is the problem. Because you're getting a lifetime warranty on a cable that's going to be obsolete in 2 fucking years.
Well, no, because this cable comes with a future-proof guarantee.
Yeah, they're not going to upgrade it to 4K, 8K, 16K, 32K.
If there comes a resolution that this cable cannot carry, meanwhile you upgrade the player and you upgrade the TV. I mean, meanwhile we're not even using players. Like, there's no cable between the Blu-ray player because we're not using discs anymore. But it came with a upgrade guarantee where if you purchased a Blu-ray player or a TV down the line that had higher requirements than the cable will be automatically upgraded for free.
Yeah, but that company went out of business 1 year after it stopped selling.
No, they're still
They
going.
changed the name.
Bro.
Well, then how are they going to upgrade this cord?
Oh, they've got new cables. right?
Surely you don't just give it out for free.
Well, they've charged so much initially. They've built so much margin in because the cost of a HDMI cable that would satisfactorily run the signal from the TV, from the player to the TV, you could buy on eBay at the time for about $18.
Yeah.
Right? They're $4 now, but at the time, $18. And we would sell a cable for $400 to $500. Now,
That's fucking mental.
absolutely 100% believed it, hook, line, and sinker. I was 100% convinced. So I was the bullshit ship, right?
Yeah.
It's like I was a capable person, so I was the useful idiot that they could essentially load that information up that would deliver it with absolute sincerity.
In sales, I think there's like the bell curve of sales, right, is the way I see it. There's a lot of people that start, get fed the bullshit from a manager.
Yep.
Do really well off the bullshit.
Yep.
Good salespeople figure out the bullshit at the top of the bell curve and get shitter.
Yes.
For a period of time.
As soon as
because you realize the bullshit, so then you backpedal on everything you've learned because you're like, that cunt lied to me and I don't want to be a fucking liar to my client. I want to help them.
Yep.
So then you backpedal on everything and then you start digging and you start becoming this truth seeker of shit, which becomes like a negative for a little bit.
Yep.
Until you find all the useful things that it's actually good for that you can then provide to the client and then it goes back up.
100%. You then move into a different product.
Which those people that quit hit that bell curve at that bottom bit and go, I felt bad lying to people. But that's because you didn't adapt and learn actual useful shit that you could help and then gain your own sales skills and go, actually, this is not how to sell this thing. There is an angle that this thing is useful. So for an example, when I sold Foxtel, right, I couldn't sell it at first based on my boss's teaching. So I sucked. For the first 2 weeks, I didn't make a sale.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to fucking get good at this. But my teacher at the time, Shabir, was a dude who didn't even watch Foxtel. He was just this Indian pressure seller. And he was good at it. But he was mean. He made a girl cry on the door and I felt bad. I was at a door and he was pushing. And there was another guy that he could have sold, but he didn't see the signals of the person wanting to buy and then got offended that he said Foxtel was shit. But he wanted it for the IPL. But then Shabir was so much of a pressure seller, he's like, you think Foxtel's shit? And then just abused this dude. And then the dude's like, I don't want it anymore. But he was going to buy just for the IPL. Yeah. Like for the International Premier League.
Foxtel's a rip-off because I have to buy all these other things to get there because I want this IPL.
This guy just didn't want the other channels.
And just get out of my face.
Yeah. It's like, I'll take it. I just don't want these other channels. They're shit. And he's like, you're saying it's shit? And I was like, bro, who gives a fuck? Some of these channels are shit. They're dog shit. That's what they're there for.
He's like a character out of Housos.
Oh, he was clean cut and everything, but he was just so pushy that he was good at pushing people into it. But what I figured out, my way of selling Foxtel was I would knock on their door and I'd be like, you've got a TV, right? You've got a big screen TV, right? How much you pay for your TV? And if they're like, oh, I got a free TV for $100, you're like, cool, you probably don't have Foxtel then. you watch it, like, whatever. But anyway, if I walk past someone's house and I could see them watching TV in the middle of the fucking day, I was like, you're buying Foxtel. I'm not leaving until you buy this shit because I know that you waste your time on TV. And I would go, hey, you spent $4,000 on a TV, but you won't spend $25 a month on channels that you can pause and save and skip all the ads for. I was like, do you know that for every hour of TV, they're allowed to have 9 minutes of ads? I was like, you're going to waste 9 minutes of every hour of your life watching fucking ads?
Yeah.
Or you can pay $25 a month to get shows that you can save and wait an hour to watch it an hour after it's done and fast forward them 10 minutes. And you know what? At the end of a fucking day, if you've watched 3 hours of TV, you just got half an hour of TV extra for free. You telling me that $25, $1 a fucking day isn't worth an extra half an hour of TV on shit that isn't ads? That was my angle. Yeah, I believed it because I was like, yeah, I don't even want to watch TV for an hour.
That's a genuine angle. It's like, you're wasting all of this time watching ads we can reclaim that half an hour of your life.
Well, if you worked a
That's
job,
one extra episode of Springer.
well, if you work a job, right, and you're getting paid at that time, it was probably like $20 an hour, 20 to $30 an hour, right? So you're spending 1 hour of your week of work to make sure you can gain back half an hour of TV a day. So realistically, your happy time is watching TV because the average person was watching 3 hours of TV at that time.
Yeah.
It might be different now with phones, but that point in time was 3 hours of TV a day. So if you go, so half an hour a day, you could gain on your one pleasurable activity for half an hour, like for a fraction of your work, a 20th of your work.
Yeah.
That was the calculation I created, mate. I would never say that whole thing.
No.
But that's what I had in the back of my mind going, they're getting this.
It's like, this is the message I need them to understand.
Yeah.
And
I need to see this the way I see it.
I just need to carry my message across, and it's coming from a genuine space because, like, you derive your existence from this box, and currently you are not getting the most from this box.
Well, everyone believes that their time is precious. And once you help them understand that they're using their time poorly and they could gain a better use of their time in the way that they're already using it, they can relieve themselves of their money very freely.
So at Harvey Norman, somebody, it's like, hey, do you want this HDR PVR set-top box to go with the TV? Because that was a thing that came out later. Oh, we've got Foxtel, that's got the recorder in it. Ah, yes, but that's only 160 gigabytes. And that box only delivers 720p. This one here is capable, should there be a broadcast at 1080p, is capable of delivering. But also, the cable that Foxtel provides you isn't giving you the full resolution.
So sell them a monster cable on top.
You'd sell them the monster cable, like try and get an extra monster cable to go with their Foxtel. So the goal was...
How bad did you feel once you realised it was bullshit?
Yeah. Well, I had to get a new career.
So was that kind of like you clicked and was like, I'm out, this is dumb?
Yeah. I moved over to video cameras and MP3 players.
Yeah.
On that side of things. But yeah, I mean, there was a...
How long did you have in total at Harvey Norman? Like, how long did you work there for?
Because I had to go back, man. Because the other side of the career didn't necessarily take off exactly how it should. So I had to...
Was that your time at Home Buy Centre?
Yeah, right. That one's going to come up about the...
Oh, I shouldn't have said the name.
Anyway.
Have you signed an NDA? Probably. I'll cut it out. I'll cut that bit out. I won't say the name.
I have actually signed an NDA.
Yeah, I'll cut that out. Have you signed it to say that you never worked there?
Not that I never worked there.
Just what happened while you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
fine.
I left ugly.
So we can still have that in then.
Yeah.
You signed an NDA. We don't have to talk about the recent time there.
Anyway.
I know the backstory, so it's fine. I know what you're going to say. You don't have to.
Yeah.
I know the other part. I remember now. It clicked.
There's other little bits and pieces that come with that one that...
No, you told me relatively recently. No, you didn't. Signed an NDA. Didn't tell me anything.
I mean, at the end of it, man, I was basically forced to sign an NDA to receive the balance of the commission that I was ultimately due anyway.
Yeah.
So that means that
The joys of sales jobs.
I was forced to sign. I signed an NDA under duress.
Yeah.
Right. And I happened to have a fully qualified lawyer under retainer who specialises in employment. Should I ever run into issues with that NDA, because that was 100% under duress.
Yeah.
But
under ransom.
The terminology is under duress, but basically they ransomed what was owed to me was dangled in front of me to sign the NDA.
Yeah.
So I didn't get anything special. I got every dollar that I was owed, and I have no intention of ever going back to work for those people. I can't imagine a world where I go back there. But at the same time, I never say never, because you mentioned about Harvey Norman. How long were you there for, right? I remember I left in 2008. I'm never going back. 2009, I was back there. I'm never going back. When I left there and went to a building company, and
I think they can math that.
Different building company, and then that didn't work out. And then I was back at Harvey Norman, and then I went back to that building company that I have an NDA with.
Yep.
And I can't disclose exactly how I was treated by the individual who recently, by the way, has been terminated from the company for the exact behaviour that he exhibited towards me that had me thrown from the company. And I had to go back for a little bit. Like 3 or 4 times I went back there. I think I did like 8 or 9 years in total.
Really?
With there, yeah.
How many, like when you go back, how long would you go back for, like a year or 2 at a time?
Yeah.
So Harvey Norman was your crutch.
It was my safety blanket. The last time I left, I'm like, don't say you're never going back, because you're gonna jinx it.
I did 2 days in Harvey Norman. 2 fucking days.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't like wearing a tie ever. So that was kind of...
I was good enough that I got away without wearing the tie.
Well, I went in the first day without a tie on, and they're like, "Can you wear a tie?" And I was like, "No, I really don't like things around my neck, dude. Like, I can't have a leash. You can't put a leash on me." That was like my head. A tie's a leash, and I was like, I can work here. I'm a door-to-door dude. I'm a weapon. Can't wear a leash. You can't put a leash on me. Can't do it. But then the first day, I kind of like got explained all the products, got explained what we sell, figured out like, and I'm a commission dude through and through.
Yeah.
If you pay me commission, I can work. That was hourly rate plus commission. And you would know this better than me because you actually worked there for longer. They explained how you got paid commission on stuff. And realistically, the only way you make money in Harvey Norman, I believed, in the electronics department, was selling horse shit. Which was like warranties, this talk to text, sub shit. Just these 4 products that were like crap. Because they had like some massive markup on it. And then you got way more of the markup in commission. And then I kind of mathed it all out, went to the franchisee in that section and was like, "Hey man, I've just been like playing with the numbers of the commissions and stuff. And like the only way I'm going to get any good commissions if I just sell this stuff, hey."
I got to sell the cable, the warranty, and the tech to home service.
Yeah, just bullshit, yeah. And then I was like, if I sell like, you know, all these computers and these iPads and video games and all this stuff, like I won't get paid fuck all. And they're like, "Oh yeah, nah, you won't." They're like, "That's not what we're selling here." And I was like, "What do you?" They're like, "People come to buy that from anywhere. Your job is to sell the stuff on top to get commission." Yep. And I was like, but what if there's no value in it to the person? At this point, if he bullshitted me and convinced me it was good, I probably would have lasted a month and then realized that it was horse shit. But then he was like, his exact words, and I'll never forget it. I remember his face when he said it. I remember it was like a turning point, you know, he hit them. And he goes, "If you're a salesperson with a conscience, you're never going to be a good salesperson."
Wow.
And I went, I was like, "I'm not coming back tomorrow."
Yeah.
He's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I'm a salesperson with a conscience, dude. I think you just like, I'm not going to work here. This isn't going to work for me. I'm good." I left. And then I sold wine for 3 months.
Yeah. So back in the day, man, Harvey Norman was like a sick place to work, right? Because you were getting a percentage of the overall GP, right? And products on the floor generally had sort of a 20 to 25% GP.
These were like 10 at max.
Yeah. What happened is the profit margin stayed the same, but it moved from front-end profit to rebates, and then to get commission, you needed to sell the extra items.
Yeah, the horseshoe.
That was sort of really the first time I ended the career. A couple of times I had to suck it up, and I had to go back there and bite the bullet, and I had to push There was ways that I could actually, you know, look after people and still hit my targets. We had to game the system to make it work. But there used to be money in it, man. Like and this.
There was definitely money, but I felt like it was just duping people.
There was genuine money in doing the right thing for people.
Okay.
So the very first thing I learned to really sell properly was the Miele vacuum cleaner, right? And I'm going to tell you about this. There somewhere exists some poor bastard owned this vacuum cleaner, this S211. Now the S211 was the entry point to the Miele vacuum cleaner range, right? It was a lime green with a rubber trim on the outside, and honestly, man, fantastic vacuum cleaner. The specs on that were the same as far as the motor and the hose and everything as like the 3-Up, just had slightly different filtration systems, and you could actually buy the adapters and change the filtration system. Very sensible vacuum cleaner. It was about $300 at the time, right? Cost price about $180. Sell one of those, you make about $10. Do that 2 or 3 times a day on top of it. It was worth it
Yeah.
to take the time to get people away from the $150 vacuum cleaner to this $300 vacuum cleaner, right? And to demonstrate this vacuum cleaner, right? I'd twist the hose, pull the hose, and I could do this thing with the vacuum cleaner, right? Where I could like throw it away and then pull it back to me, and then like I'd flip it up.
So you turned it into a trick vacuum.
Yeah, I turned it into a trick vacuum cleaner, right?
Check out all these tricks I can do with my vacuum.
So the demo model of this green S211 sat on the shelf, and every single time somebody came in looking at a vacuum cleaner, right, I'd done this full stunt. I was like, chase your tail, beg.
You treated it like a fucking yo-yo.
Yeah, chase your tail, beg, fetch, right? Basically, this thing's made out of this ABS plastic. It's indestructible. It's got this German motor that's been tested to 120 drop tests. And like, I beat the shit out of this vacuum cleaner consistently every day for about 3 years, right? But the models had actually changed. And this model had become 2 models old, right? And one day, somebody said, oh, that one's deleted, and sold the floor model to somebody.
Oh, and it would have been hammered.
Some poor bastard bought that. And I think to myself, so a $300 vacuum cleaner, right? So it's really not the end of the world. And they probably got it for like $220 and an $80 discount.
Yeah.
I beat the shit out of that vacuum cleaner every single day consistently for 3 years, and somebody bought it.
This is a hot tip for everyone. Don't buy floor models.
Don't buy floor models. No, don't. But also, if somebody purchased a S211 Miele green vacuum cleaner around about the year of 2005, I will give you the $300 for it if it's still in existence, because I'd actually like to stick that bad boy on my wall.
Just to mount it for yourself.
Like, just
You want the lime green one too?
no, I want that one.
Okay.
I want the one from the floor, because it's
Oh, man, you are really asking. That would be in the bin for sure.
well, you know what?
Surely that thing wouldn't be working.
Statistically speaking, it would be, right? So the reason I could sell that product so well, right, and I became like the number one Miele vacuum cleaner salesperson, is because, right, at home right now, what have I got? A German-made Miele vacuum cleaner, right? I'll always have a German-made Miele vacuum cleaner. They didn't move with the technology. They just made a really good hard-wearing product that really, really lasts. Statistically speaking, even though I punished the shit out of that thing for 3 years, it should still be working if the appropriate maintenance was taken over the years.
Okay.
And if it is, I'll give you $500 for it. I have to be able to trace it back to it has to be the original. It has to be the one off the floor. But I know that there's zero chance of me finding that vacuum cleaner. Like,
What if on the hunt for this exact vacuum, it would be in Perth, obviously.
if it's anywhere, or you never know, somebody might have travelled eastern states and taken it with them.
What Harvey Norman store did they buy it from?
Joondalup.
Joondalup. Okay, Joondalup Harvey Norman store. You bought the floor model Miele S12.
S211.
S211. Fucking hell, S211, not S12. I'm fucking dyslexic that good. S211 vacuum. It's got a lime green thing on it. If you have that one model, that was that. Comment or whatever, or just give his numbers literally in the description.
Google me. It's not hard to find me.
Well, you're the sponsor of the podcast, so your number's in the description.
Yes.
Give him a call and be like, hey.
I will take you to the shops, and you can have whatever brand new model of vacuum cleaner that you want. Because
Just cash.
or
That's the deal.
cash, or a new vacuum cleaner, or something. I don't know. A nice dinner.
At this point, they probably don't want that vacuum anymore anyway. How many years old would it be now? Like 10?
Like, it could be in storage in Nana's attic somewhere. I mean, okay.
It could be. It could be in existence.
So that vacuum
And that would be
cleaner-
a really good show of like
So-
detective work in Perth.
The Miele vacuum cleaners, their whole thing is they're designed for 20 years consistent usage. And I definitely want a Miele sponsorship to go with my 196 Lemon sponsorship, right? And I actually got some customer service recently that was actually good, and I bought some more Miele shit, right? Loved it. So that vacuum cleaner is designed to last for 20 years of abuse. That's the whole
So
deal.
it should
with
work. That
and-
floor thing should be out there somewhere.
So that maybe. I mean, it might have got abused. Like at a certain point, used at a building site or something like that, and dead and in the bin. But that
Let's get you to come forward a bit.
that there is the ultimate in sales is finding something that is genuinely good, that you genuinely believe in, that you can actually represent its value to people.
Yeah.
If you can find those things, then you've got yourself a decent sales gig. If you don't believe in what you're selling, then you shouldn't be selling it. It is
Find a
as
new
simple
product.
as that. Find a different product. Find somewhere else to work. Source out, if there's a thing that you want to sell, source out the thing that you like the most and go and sell that.
And find a company that is good at that product.
Yeah.
Because if you sell a shitty version of that product, you end up hating the product as well.
Yes, you got to find the simple as this. If you wouldn't buy it, don't sell it. Like if you
That's probably the easiest way.
It's
If
the
you want to buy,
easiest way.
don't sell it.
It's like if you look at something and go, "Hey, this is really, really good," and I think I want this in my home, in and around my home. Like that's the product you want to sell. You don't want to go and find something and go, "Really?"
I learnt that by selling wine for 3 months. But
You don't
like
drink wine.
at all.
Hey, it has oaky textures.
I didn't talk about the flavour of any of them at all. So I learnt to sell completely based off what they wanted.
Huh?
So it was like I was at a stall at the airport. I'd call people over and we're selling wine subscriptions. And I was like, "Do you drink?"
Do you drink?
And I was like, "I'm giving out free samples of wine." And I was like, "Have a taste of this. What's your favourite type of wine?" And if we'd have like that many wines on taste, that I'd be like, "What's your favourite type?" "Yep, cool, crack one for them. Give this a go. Tell me what you think." And then I'd listen to them about it. And if they liked it, I'd go, "This subscription's the one that's going for you." And then I'd go down the route of like, "Hey, delivered to your door once every 2 months, money back guarantee. This is the price range it's in. This is how great it is." But I didn't like the job. But I was helping people get what they wanted. Because I was like, "You drink wine, taste it, it's good, cool. We're not going to send the exact same one. We're going to send different ones, a range that changes. And then if you don't like it, you call us up, you get to keep the wine and get your money back." I was like, "So at worst case, we'll send you a 6-pack of wines. You get a free 6-pack of wines if you don't want it."
Hey, can you pause?
Yeah. Yeah, so we're back. So what it taught me about selling wine, like selling things, was like you can still give people stuff they want, but your enthusiasm to do it is not there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "You know what? This isn't for me. I don't like this thing. I'm not helping people. I'm just giving people stuff." Whereas like if you give them people they want and you know it's good and you can like quite literally use the item yourself, there's so much more power behind it. That's when I started selling homes.
Hey, I got a funny one about sales. Go. So, have you ever bought a product
like this? Sorry.
going around the twist? Have you ever bought a product and thought, "This is the best product in the world. This is so good. Everyone needs this product." And then you go and sell that product because you're thinking, "What a great product," only to find out that the company you're working for has a very comparable product to everyone else, is just charging 2.5 times the price for the same thing.
Well, I know what you're talking about is water filters here.
Yes.
Yes.
Love water filters. Oh my goodness, water is so toxic. There's all that stuff in there, all the chemicals, everything like that. What a great idea. I bought a system. Absolutely love that system. It's absolutely fantastic. And, between other things, thought I'll have a crack at selling that for a while.
Well, the thing was, you didn't stay there forever.
Oh, no.
You bought it, you believed it, and then you realised the price was like way out of line with your market competitors and went, "Oh, I got gypped. And now I'm not going to continue gypping." Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I mean, that is that bell curve we're talking about. Yep. The more you've worked in places, the quicker you rise to the top and go, "This is bullshit."
Yeah.
I'm out. I had the same at a solar company that I worked at.
Yeah.
Because like solar panels obviously were worth it. They're not anymore. They're completely fucking pointless now that we have this sun tax coming in, but whatever. Do you know about the sun tax? You won't get affected. You've got batteries, so...
Tell me about the sun tax after I tell you what I just bought.
Okay.
All right. 19.2 kilowatts of panels. 15 kilowatt 3-phase inverter, 32 kilowatt hours of battery storage, and a car charger.
Yes.
So I will be producing roughly 3 times my energy consumption.
Not producing, extracting.
Producing.
No, because you're extracting it from the sun.
Oh, sorry. Correct. I'm extracting. No, valid. I'm producing 3 times my consumption, but ultimately I will never at any point have to purchase any power from them.
Yes.
Sun tax. All
So
right.
the sun tax
Here we go.
is not going to be a problem for you because you
sure?
have batteries.
Okay, but what about the excess that, once my batteries are fully charged, the excess that pumps out? Am I going to be charged for that?
Probably, yeah.
Sick.
So this is the new government incentive to fund people rebates for batteries, right? That's come out.
Yeah, that's why the system was actually quite competitively priced. It's really
Yes,
exciting.
yes. So the government's rebating people for buying batteries for the system to help the environment, right? But as any great government does, when they fund us to do something good, they must extract the money from somewhere else.
Ah, yes.
So now, instead of you getting a rebate from your money going back into the grid, they've come up with a thought process that too many people are feeding energy back into the grid. So anyone that's feeding energy back into the grid is now going to pay your sun tax. So for the last how many years that solar panels have existed, and we've been convinced that we should all get solar panels on our house so we can go green, and that we should all feed power back into the grid because it will help. They're now saying we're overloading the grid. Instead of building a better grid that can house all this energy that can come back into anyone that needs to use it, they're saying you need to buy a battery so you can hold anything you produce. And if you don't hold everything you produce and you feed stuff back into the grid, we're now going to tax you for it. The math doesn't math.
I'm struggling with a lot of the maths there, but I'm hoping that I can.
Bullshit.
Well, I mean, my plan is essentially because 32 kilowatt hours with a 15 kilowatt inverter with 19.2 kilowatts of panels. I don't need to buy any power from them. So they can send me a bill and then cut off my power and...
You're good to go.
Yeah, that's... I'm sure they've got a system to stop me from doing that.
Yeah, they do. Which is even more ridiculous that you can't just run your own house off your own energy.
Yeah, so...
But, that's just because government.
We
live in a slave colony. You're going to hear this on every podcast that I have for the rest of my life. We live in a fucking slave colony. I'm convinced, right, that Australia is a slave colony that's been totally propagandized into not believing that. Because we were convicts that got brung over.
Well, I wasn't.
No, we weren't. We're descended too far from that now. And now it's immigrants and stuff.
I'm a first generation Australian. My parents... Like, if anyone wants to hate the British, it's the British, man. Right? The British oppress the British so much because it's the...
Well, instead of having black slaves, they made white slaves.
Well, essentially, I think the Germanic people, the Anglo-Saxons, which I know that I have Anglo-Saxon blood, they essentially enslaved the natural inhabitants of the UK, the shorter people. I don't know exactly what they're, the Welsh or whatever they were, but they were heavily oppressed by the British.
Well, the Irish were slaves for the English at one point. Scottish were slaves at one point.
Yeah, the window tax. The window tax, the light tax. You know about the light tax, right?
No, I don't know about the light tax.
Okay.
It sounds like the sun tax.
Yes, okay. But so much better.
If you're out in the light, we must tax you.
So the British...
You must work until dark.
Imposed a tax on the Scottish people, depending on how many windows they had at their home. And the more windows you had, the higher the tax.
Why do I feel like there's just this never-ending circle of horse shit that gets fed to us cunts, and we just keep because the opposite is happening now. You have to have more windows, and you have to make your house an energy-efficient house, and we have to put that into building codes. And we were discussing this the other day, that it's getting so bad that you've got a theory that we may as well bring up now.
Yeah, okay. Now's a good time for that.
Yeah, that, and just get close to the mic. Just bring yourself in closer.
done.
Just push yourself, your butt in. That as builders, when we were working together in the building industry, we had 6-star energy ratings. Now we have a 7-star energy rating for anything built in WA. And what this means for the listeners at home is the amount of insulation or solar passivity of your home so that you will use less energy on aircon. So in summer, your house is cool. In winter, your house is cold. A lot of people look at this and go, oh, it's like double glazing. It's like insulation in between the bricks in your walls. It's like having not spray and bats. It's like having the actual fucking things that go on your roof. Just to make sure your house is insulated really, really well. The difference in price for like a tiny fucking build is like 10K at the moment. 15K.
Small amount.
Yeah, but it adds up. If you've got 20 different codes you have to fucking abide by, they all add up. I just
BAL rating, noise compliance,
got a 36
energy rating.
noise compliant one the other day.
36G.
36
on a granny flat, bro.
Yeah, more than 10%.
Well, the UVP just went out the window, didn't it?
Well, you know what? This is what they get for building where they're building. But fucking insane. Just so anyone knows, I've just mentioned like a noise attenuation. What that is if your house is within certain areas that have certain decibels from trains, cars, carriageways, you have to make sure your house is and this is a rule. You literally cannot build these things unless you agree with this so you can get a building permit. Has to be quiet enough in your house that noise isn't going to...
But I'm a sovereign citizen, so I don't contract with the government, and therefore I will build as I please.
That's not true. Unfortunately, that's not true. We do as we're told. Slave colony, I told you. So this theory that we're talking about, you think... I think you're going to have to keep up with us here and pay attention. I think that in 20 or 30 years' time... Since COVID, we had a change in building materials in Western Australia. And anyone from the East Coast has this thing in their head where they're like, who would use double brick, stupid fucking oven, build them out of fucking other shit anyway. But over here, we predominantly build our homes out of double brick unless you're in the hills where you're on like really weird slopes and shit and like you have to use wood frame. But since COVID, steel framed homes and wood framed homes have been built with plasterboard so you can literally punch holes in walls a lot more often as opposed to double brick.
Plaster
on double brick. I believe that is better because in my head, I look at anything that lasts over 150 years, right? A brick house in 150 years, its frame will be here.
Most likely.
Trying to fucking knock it down.
You'd have to make an effort.
Right? But like a wood framed home or a steel framed home is going to struggle.
I can put my head through it.
Yeah. But it's just like it's a slow degradation of that. It's got more chances of being destroyed. Termites, fucking steel framed homes are insane. I can't believe they're even. That's a shed, cunt. That's an insulated shed. Fuck out of here with any other thought process. That's bullshit. Don't buy that ever. But I think in 20, 30 years' time, and you're a real estate agent, so you can have like some market predictions on this.
Okay.
That the houses that are being built with wood frame and steel frame now, and just think of anything that's 30 years old now. Like a house that's 30 years old.
30 years, all right.
You think 30 years, you're like, oh yeah, but 50 years? Dog shit. Anything that was built 50 years is a fucking steel, is a wood framed home. And they're crap. And everyone's like, they've got to demolish them and rebuild. Mm-hmm. But anything that's built in brick from like 20, 30 years ago, you're like, that's a solid home. Everyone says that. Yep. Double brick, solid home. So in 20, 30 years' time, I reckon we're going to see two versions of the market which were being sold 10 or 15 grand different apart. Because the difference between building a steel frame and a wood frame is only 10, 30 grand difference.
Have a look at certain building companies. One that rhymes with plummet. And what they're charging for steel frame homes is actually more expensive than what you can get a double brick home from another builder.
Yeah. So I think there's going to be two brackets that run in the future where it's going to be framed homes and double brick homes.
Yep.
And I think the double brick homes will definitely be in the higher bracket. I think there'll be a clear distinction where people will be going, or double brick or framed, because the designs are the same.
Yep.
The only difference is your internal walls.
So I think there's certainly an element there. So Eastern States people, when they're buying over here...
We'll get back to the insulation thing as well. This is on the same track. You just have to wait. It's coming.
Stick with me. Yeah, fair. So Eastern States people, when they're buying over here, like they're like, and what is the building material? I'm like, double brick. all these houses are double brick. The entire everything. It's WA, like double brick.
Well, it's not anymore, but there is a lot more.
It's
of
not
shit
now,
changing.
but the steel frame and the wood frame is so new that it represents
A fucking tiny share of the market.
1% of the market. So you're like, yeah, it's double brick. Oh wow, another double brick. And like, yeah, most houses, anything, especially like if you're looking at a house that's 20 years old in Perth, it's a double brick home. Like guaranteed it every time. It's double brick. There was nothing 20 years ago, 10 years ago. So when I'm selling at Merrill Clarkson, it's all double brick, and people do like it from the solid factor. They're bringing in the publication of energy ratings for houses being sold established homes. Now, I believe that this is going to, and
so this is like a ruling they're creating.
yes,
That anything that's sold has to
show the energy rating.
has a basis of where it needs to be sold. Like a basic standard
has to be
level.
shown in the advertised, and it will be disclosed in the contract.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So you
That's not
can't.
what I was thinking. I had something different in my head. Cool.
Yeah, so if you want to sell a house, you'll say the energy rating has to be disclosed and it has to be in the contract. So the energy rating has to be disclosed. So I had a couple of houses that were built prior to 2014. 2014 is when the deemed to comply 6-star energy rating came in. And I have sold my houses that were predating that. Now, for my new builds, I am leaning towards double brick construction, but they'll be 7-star compliant. But
They have to be since May 1st.
They have to be.
Yeah.
But I believe that a lot of those older houses will struggle to get reasonable market value because they'll probably energy rated about 1.5 to 2.5 stars.
Before 2014.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the fucking freezing cold dungeons.
Yeah.
No one designed it with any solar passivity. No one I was in a house. You came to the house I lived in Como.
Yes.
Yeah, and the way that fucking thing was designed was like, who the fuck thought this was a dope? They had no eaves on one side. The sliding door was straight up west facing, and it created an oven. It was hotter inside my fucking house in summer than it was outside at night.
Yep.
I had to alfoil up the entire side of my house. So it looked like a crack house just so I could lose 5 degrees inside so I could go to fucking sleep.
So
I was thinking, whoever designed this house was spastic.
So that house would have a 1.5 energy
That
star
had
rating.
-6, cunt. That was hell.
-6.
It was freezing in summer. I mean, freezing in winter and boiling in summer. That thing was, if there was an energy rating on that,
Half a star top.
it was negative.
You
It
can't
was,
have
No, because-
Darcy. You can't have negative.
trust
right?
me, if you had to fucking, the amount of energy I would have spent on an aircon in that house means it's negative star.
Right.
I know you're not meant to have it, but in my eyes, that's negative.
So houses like that, I think they're going to be struggling to sell.
That's a 0.
Right. And if something has such a low energy rating, well, it's really going to come down to, is it worth retrofitting this house to the point that it will comply, or should we just demolish it? Right.
Which, and in the terms of retrofitting, for anyone listening, because I just want to we're probably getting pretty deep, want to make sure we will explain these things. That is like, remember when houses used to get sold without insulation in the ceiling? And everyone's like, how's it got insulation? So
Pre-Peter Garrett era.
yeah, so people ask that now. So this would be like, yes, it's got insulation, but your insulation's dog shit, so you have to replace it. Has it got insulation in the walls? No, like in double brick, we do insulation in the walls now as well. We do the foil between
Cavity inside. Yep.
Yeah. So it hasn't got that, so we've got to put that in. And then it'll be, what else are we going to have to do? It'll be a different type of fucking plaster. It'll be remove all your windows to do double glazing windows or low E-glass at a minimum. It'll be, and to remove the windows on your house and replace them is a fucking expensive move.
30 grand.
Yeah, exactly. But imagine what it's going to be like when it's a requirement.
Oh, boy, howdy.
You know what I mean? Like at the moment, if retrofitting your house with double glazing doesn't matter. So sales companies like Solar, Water Filter aren't pouncing on it like fucking demons. There's a couple out there that are like, well, yeah, we can sell it if it works. But imagine if it's like a requirement. Price is going to go through the roof. Cars are going to get ripped off like crazy.
Let's examine what will happen. Obviously, the demand on these items will go through the roof, and they'll only be able to supply so much. And once certain suppliers have bitten off more than they can chew, and the materials go through the roof, because obviously the material suppliers, hey, then...
Well, it's all a knock-on effect.
Yep.
It's not just, the companies are making the money. It goes all the way about the taxes will get higher on it because the government knows they're going to make more cash because everyone has to get it done, blah, 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 blah.
It's not 100% greed-driven. It's necessity-driven.
At the very basis, there's greed, but it's like not one person's greed.
Well,
It's not the company, because this is where a lot of people make a mistake with building companies when prices doubled from 2020 to 2022. They're like, the builders are making double the money. Nope. Dude, there is taxes, there is materials, and how many materials are in a house? Well, that means every single fucking company that makes a material has to make money. Then there's supply, then there's transport, then there's all these tiny factors. If every single one of their people put their price up 2%, it doesn't mean the total price goes up 2%. The total price goes up 10, 20, 30, 40%.
Because everyone's got to make the margins.
And the government...
We're not UNICEF. We're not here to serve the people. We're here to make money. That's what business is about.
Well, it's not just that. It's that each level gets a tiny bit extra.
Yep.
But then each level, including the government, for every tiny bit that comes on top, has to make their chunk. Like, just everyone remember that GST is 10% of every single thing that is sold or done. So if you compound that at each step, it's not actually 10% anymore. It's more, way more.
Yep.
Because it's compounding. And if anyone knows how compounding interest works when it comes to making money, 10% turns to 11, turns to fucking 14, turns to fucking 20, turns to 50 very fast.
So
That's how you make money off stocks.
So yeah, my theory is, my portfolio, I've dumped it and I'll be building a new portfolio at 7-star energy rating.
That always is higher, yeah.
It's going to cost me to do so, but ultimately I believe that's going to make the difference, but I'm still going to try and build out a double brick. Yep. But the question will be, would a low energy rating double brick home attract a higher value, than low energy double brick home?
Low energy rating.
Okay, so we've got a low energy rating on a double brick home versus a high energy rating in those cardboard houses. Which one would be worth more?
I reckon this is going to come down government propaganda bullshit.
Yep.
Because it'll be a fact of...
So who's going to win, the people or the government?
Always. Government always wins. What are you talking about? They always fucking do it.
Yeah.
They convince everyone, especially in this country. I think that what it will be is a matter of what rule comes in to... And this is a conspiracy theory that exists in Europe. So the European conspiracy theory is that for 2030 that they're trying to make everything so energy efficient that they'll create a ruling that any house that doesn't meet the energy efficiency rulings will have to be demolished or retrofitted with the things to hit the thing. But the pricing of what the retrofitting will be so high that it would only make sense to demolish because the land cost will be all it is and people will go bankrupt based on that. So if we go with that, if they bring that rule in, if that conspiracy theory turns real, whereas we've got a low energy rated brick house versus a high energy rated steel frame heap of shit, right? The cost, because it's legislated that you have to retrofit the brick house, will turn the brick house into getting demolished.
Right.
Because if the people who have owned the brick house for long enough, right, should have paid off enough a loan for it to be proper. But there'll be a bunch of people that lose a bunch of money at some point that buy them at the wrong time.
So I think they'll do this through rental requirements, and this is going to be a tax on the middle rich. So we're the middle rich, by the way.
I'm not the middle rich. I'm still bottom end of the middle rich.
You're middle rich.
No. I count them as higher than me still.
Okay. All right.
I just spent too much money on a divorce. All right. If that money wasn't spent on divorce, I wouldn't convince. I'd be like, no, I'm in the middle rich, maybe. But
because they're not going to turn around to people and say you can't live in the house that you own because the energy rating doesn't comply.
Well, this is where I wonder, right? Because that would
take some extreme Nazism.
Well, that's where the conspiracy theory to me falls apart.
That Kanye song's still stuck in your head. Anyway, moving on.
It constantly gets stuck in my head.
Why does it keep showing up on my feed, really?
Man's a genius. Man is a fucking genius.
Back on topic.
He's a very, just on topic of that. That man figured out a way how to anchor music into your brain, whether you want it in there or not. He's like, hey, do you know what's a wild thing to say? Hit your brain and deal with it. You hear 2 beats of that fucking song and then you're like humming it. You're like, can't. I can't walk around humming this, dude. Stop it. It hooked in too good. That man's too good at making music. It needs to be stopped. Don't hook me with shit. No, so I think that's where the conspiracy pulls apart, because but there's also been ways where they've done this shit in the past. They have succeeded at taking shit off people.
So
I fucking lost my job because I wouldn't get a fucking needle. They do succeed at these things. If they can win the Chicken Little debate. Sorry, I should probably explain what Chicken Little debate is.
yes, you need to explain that one.
My thought process is climate change might be Chicken Little. So the story of Chicken Little is Chicken Little walks past a tree, honky nut or something falls on his head, and he's convinced the sky is falling. So he goes around telling everyone the sky is falling, that everything's going to end, it's the end of the world, the sky is going to fall. Obviously, the sky's not fucking falling. Climate change could be that. Could be we're all going to fucking die if we don't. But it's not we're going to die, it's our kids are going to die if we don't comply with this rule that we've created.
Yes. Okay.
So New Age Chicken Little could be climate change. I'm slightly convinced because it makes sense for the governments to be that mean. That they can then go, hey, these houses are a detriment on the environment for your grandchildren. And then if they can get enough walk behind that, they can bring in, no, these houses are an environmental disaster.
But very hard to convince people of that. Very easy to convince the people.
Maybe not to get out of your house, but you can't sell it. So if you have a valueless asset,
Yep.
what does it matter?
It's still a roof over your head. But
People, you know this, human beings like to leave where they are every 10 years, even if they stay in the suburb.
they need to attack the middle rich first.
They always do. That's where they extract the cash from.
So
They
middle
can't extract money from the poor. They ain't got no money to
They
take.
got no money. So, and this is this conversation, man. That Jordan Van der Lam. That's why I desperately want to see him have a conversation, because
Jordan Van der Lam?
yeah, the purple pingus guy.
Oh, yeah.
So I would love to see him have this conversation, because being socialist, left wing, everything like that, it's about the environment. So, and I'm for that, man. I'm so for that. Like, yeah, you know what? Let's protect what resources we have. Let's look after the planet as much as possible for future generations. I'm all for that. But ultimately, you're putting the pressure on these asshole investors who own the homes to now say, well, to rent this house out, you need to bring it up. And if you own so you're not allowed to hold a vacant property, right? And if you own a property, it has to be fit for rental, right? So therefore, you have to make it compliant. So therefore, personally, if I had a house that wasn't compliant and it was going to cost me more to retrofit it than the value of the asset that's on it, and I wasn't allowed to keep properties that were vacant,
You're fucked.
I'm gonna knock that thing over.
Yeah.
Then I'm just sitting on vacant land. That's what I'm doing.
But surely they're going to make a rule that you can't keep vacant land as well. Because in my head, the way I get this hypothetical that I'm trying to figure out, right? Because we've all been duped as humans into buying something from somebody else because it's just generations have done it, right?
Yep.
Which is a house. But you need a house to live.
Yep.
So even when you're in a country like Australia, where we have less than 30 million people, if you were born in Australia, you can't go, hey, I was born here. Can I have just 1,000 square meters of land in the middle of fucking nowhere? Just like, can I just have that? Because like I was born in this country and we've got more space per capita than nearly anywhere in the world. Can I just have a pointless piece of land that like that can just be my spot? So like I don't need to pay to exist? Of course you fucking can't. What are you talking about? That's insane. Is the exact thing that anyone that doesn't think about it for more than fucking 20 minutes. You go, why can't we? Like, let's just say I want fucking 1,000 square meters of land in Meekatharra. I've been to Meekatharra. There's fuck all. There's fuck all.
60
when it goes-
grand, you could buy that cash.
Yeah, you can. But if you're
Then you
born,
gotta pay rates.
But if you're born in this country, right? Like I know people are like, communist, you fucking dick. No. Hear me out, right? If you're born here, shouldn't you get a present? Shouldn't you get like a present? Because we're now the slaves of this country. We're gonna have to pay tax in this place forever.
Yeah.
So shouldn't you get a present? Hey, have a block of land in the middle of fucking nowhere. So when you hit like adulthood, when you hit like 20 or something, if you're like, hey, don't want to contribute to society, but that's bad. That's not contributing to society is a bad way to think. No, okay. So now I'm saying I want something for being born here. I'm a communist, right? But if I say that I don't want to contribute to society, how am I not a communist then? Because you're saying I have to contribute to society. I have to have a job and I have to pay money to the government so the government can share it to the poor or for roads or for everything else. That is communism. That is way more communism than going, hey, I'm born, give me a block of land in fucking no one cares about. Because there's plenty of dirt out there that no cunt gives a shit about.
Dude, there's land that you can buy for...
Fuck all.
And I'm going to the toilet because that brings me back to another rant about young people.
We'll pause again. And we're back. So, pretty much, basis of my point is like if we got gifted a block of land, say it was even 300 square meters of land in the middle of fucking nowhere, but if everyone in a certain year that was born in Australia as an Australian citizen was gifted this block of land, let's create a place that's out in the middle of fucking nowhere that's...
We're going to give it a name.
Let's just call it fucking Freeman's Land.
No, I want something funner. Darcy Land.
Kutabalaka.
Darcyville.
No, because it's not my land. And I don't want to name it to a person. We'll call it Freeman's Land for this exercise. And every year, someone gets 300 square meters of block, right? So by the time they turn 20, it's still fuck all out there. It's still nothing. But anyone that's 20 was born in, say, 2026, at 2046, all these people could go build a city out there with free land. So it's a whole year of people that create their own city with free land already there.
That sounds so good.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be the basis of a great country.
Yep.
Because they go, cool, if you don't want to build on it, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Be a contributing member of society in a city that's already been built. That you're already there, and then because you're going to pay tax anyway. We're all going to fucking pay tax. We can't avoid it. They've managed to weasel so much of it in for us, right? But this way you can go, if I want to go out into my Freeman's Land that I got when I was born, and I just want to park my car on it and just figure out what I want to do with my life, there might be
a
people
place
building
that I can exist without having to pay.
without being a slave. But the thing is, we've been so built into this idea that if you're not a member of society, you're a fucking piece of shit scumbag. Which means that we are in a communist society. Because tax going to a deliverer of cash, a person who spreads it out, seems way worse to me than going, hey, here's this. No one's allowed to sell this on. Your parents can't sell on you. This is your fucking block of land. You don't get it until you hit 20. You're not allowed to sell it until you're fucking 30. So if it does become a place that's worth something, you can sell it and be like, fine, I'm a landless person. Whatever, you can be a fucking spastic landless person. But you're not allowed to sell it till 30. So you have to sit on it till then. But you don't have to pay anything for it. This is just your space that you're allowed to have for whatever fuck you want. And what I imagine would happen, right? If let's say there's 100,000 people born in 2026. I don't know what the exact math on it is. Let's just say it's 100,000 people.
What percentage would move out there?
Right? And even if it's 10%, 10,000 people is enough to build a new town, right? Mm. And if they're all building it off the basis that they don't have to pay an insane amount of money to live in an area, like people can go buy out in the middle of nowhere now for $5,000, $10,000.
Yep.
Like Norseman and shit have $10,000 box of land. Mm. But one person buys a block out there and goes, what the fuck am I doing out here? This doesn't matter. Right? Because
if there's a bunch of people that already own land out there,
there's reason to go.
Hey, you've already got the land here. We're trying to build something new. Because that's one of my big arguments, right? People are like, I'll be like trying to sell something in Turox. I'm like, hey man, you can have this in Turox. It's so far away from Perth. And you're like, well, hang on a second.
Because
When your parents arrived to Western Australia in 1984, Perth was a shithole rural town, right? Don't tell me that Perth was anything of a city. It had a couple of tall towers. It had nothing, and you bought something 20 minutes outside of nothing. All right? Your parents left their parents on the other side of the globe, and I'm asking you to drive 30 minutes further north to establish a life for yourself. It's too far, and you keep renting, right?
But this is where the education system and desire has taken control beyond their parents teaching them any kind of previous history they learnt.
But the parents are assholes too, because the parents are like, oh, you're moving too far away. It's like you left your parents on the other side of the country, you asshole. Like my parents went
You're trying to sell to the wrong people, by the sounds of it.
Dude, so when I moved to Clarkson, right, everyone's like, oh, that's so far away. That's South Gero, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, keep living with your parents, dick. Like, I'm gonna get a house, like a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house on like a reasonable block of land in something that's probably going to be something in 15, 20 years, and I'm gonna have.
You had future sight.
I had a little bit of future sight, but I'm like, okay, there's nothing there. Because when my parents moved to West Australia in 1984, Kingsley was a shithole. Like, it wasn't a shithole, not like shitholes that we have today. Like, we didn't have crack in 84, you know what I mean? Like, we had, like, you know, those people are a little rough.
There was amphetamines in 84 for sure.
Yeah, not like we have them today. Like, it was different shit.
I'm trying to think to America when
cocaine came over. Well, I mean, we had the American
cocaine's still flash. It's different. You got to think crack cocaine.
Yeah, okay.
Crack cocaine. I'm trying to think when Freeway Ricky Ross was selling.
We didn't get speed till the 90s, right? So
is it? Yeah, I think Australia's behind.
we really need to catch up.
No, because bikies were definitely doing speed, like amphetamines, in like the 60s and 50s and shit in America. Because of Hunter S. Thompson's book Hell's Angels, which was written in like the 50s and 60s, and they were definitely doing amphetamines then.
I thought the 70s.
So amphetamines exist, which is like speed. At that era, when were bikies like something over here? Because I think there was still bikies in the 70s and 80s here.
70s.
So there was definitely, but it was there was no one in WA. There was still like the population would have been less than 1 million.
We had the America's Cup, and like all of a sudden people noticed who we were,
yeah.
And we had like businessmen like Alan Bond who got like screwed over by the Japanese and then went to jail and stuff.
I love how you said screwed over when he was really definitely doing some bad shit.
Okay, he didn't do very good things, right?
He was just good at ripping cars off.
No, dude. Didn't
he have like a big Ponzi scheme? Wasn't that like one of Bondi's good skills?
I think he might have been a vessel of bullshit.
Oh.
You know, I look at someone like him, right? If you look at the deal that went down, the Japanese slapped him silly. You know all that land that the Tokyo Corporation in Turox, Yanchep and all that, right? That was all owned by the Bond Corporation, right? And he lost in a big way because there was some kind of merger, and then he brought investors on, and the way that the contract was written, he just didn't know what he was doing. He was out of his depth.
So you reckon Bondi might have been just outplayed by a bigger, more advanced
100%
international corporation? Interesting.
No, not even a second of doubt.
This could be a good documentary. Who wants to do a documentary on Bondi? Surely. Well,
because he delivered a lot of good. Like,
he did definitely deliver a lot of good to Australia.
You go out to Turox and Yanchep, and even like there's still the occasional one in Duncraig, but most have been demolished, man. He did that partnership with R&I Bank, which now became Bank West, where they built these basic 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom, brown brick homes that were ready to move into because the government wasn't doing enough to ensure housing stability for people. And he just went and pumped out a bunch of houses all the way Duncraig, and he did it in the south as well. I don't know where they did it in the south, but you can find these Bondi designs all the way from Duncraig through to Turox because he saw a need, he fulfilled that need, and as a capitalist, fulfilling needs and got paid, right? So
he was doing something for the housing crisis at that point in time.
Yes.
Interesting.
In a massive way. I sold a. Are you familiar with the house design that I'm calling the Bondi? Are you?
No, but I bet you I know what it is if you tell me. I bet you I've been in one because I've been in a lot of houses.
I mean, I sold one on St Andrews Drive.
Is it a 3x1?
No, it's a 4x1. 4x1 brown brick, a lot of curvature to it.
Okay, keep going.
You'll see them in Baldivis probably. Not Baldivis,
Not
Rockingham,
Rockingham, sure.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. Were these the ones where you'd walk in the door, to the left was your living room?
Yep.
Then you'd have a curve, and then you'd be in the kitchen, dining room.
Yep.
And then to the right was your three or four bedrooms, you one.
That's one.
Yeah, I know that design.
Yeah. So
I know that design. Yeah.
He saw a need, and he did a partnership with R&I Bank, and he built a bunch of these in multiple locations and pumped them out. So he was a businessman that was looking to fulfill needs. But
because obviously the more people you have living here, the more money you can extract from the people.
Yep.
And that was why he's doing stuff like the America's Cup to like make this place seem amazing.
Yeah. So, but he, if you look at the deal with the Japanese had him over a barrel, and I forgot where I was going with that, but
Or that you don't think he's actually that bad of a criminal. He just got fucked over. He was the fall guy.
So, I mean, so like back to like myself, for example, right? A lot of the times, man, things are building up to a point where I'm like, okay, I don't fully understand this, right? Now, I'm trying to be sharp because I look at guys like Bondi and I'm like, well, ultimately, this guy had people around him that shoved things under him because he was making so much money. He didn't need to do anything dodgy to make great money, amazing money. He didn't need to do anything dodgy, right? If you're making amazing money, if you're making really killer money, are you going to do something that's potentially illegal to make more money?
Well, it depends on how you got there in the first place, I think. I think if you were always doing semi-dodgy shit,
You probably keep going.
there is like I know how to get away with this.
Yep.
So there would be that angle of like, I could do this dodgy thing and still get away with it. That's my kind of like, if someone who's really high up gets done with something dodgy, it doesn't mean everything they did was dodgy.
Yep.
It just means there's been an element of dodge along the way.
Yeah. So when I look at Bondi, he brought the America's Cup. He delivered all of this housing to people. He put amazing partnerships together with banks and stuff like that. So I'm looking at a person who is an entrepreneurial businessman who's done a lot of good for the community through business and capitalism. So I don't think he intentionally got involved in the stuff that ultimately dragged him down. I think he was a little bit, I'm doing good things. Because if somebody put something in front of me, you know, I could make a mistake.
Yeah. Humans make mistakes. It's standard.
Humans make mistakes. So I think at a certain point he made some mistakes. But I could be wrong. He could be a complete piece of shit. Wouldn't it? He's dead now, right?
I have no idea. I think so. I feel like Bondi's pretty old.
Like, I mean, it'd be 100 if he's still alive. Probably not that great, but
Definitely dead then. He's definitely dead.
But that's the reality for a lot of people in business out there. Once they grow past a certain point, they want to keep growing, and they have to rely on the people around them
To make sure that things work properly.
And people are looking for. So there's a lot of psychopaths out there. They're circling like sharks, looking for people to take advantage of, which I've encountered.
Looking for their shortcut.
I've encountered in business a lot of people who I'm essentially the path that they've used to get where they're going. They need a useful idiot, or they need a person who's a little bit susceptible, or a person who
has a grandeur belief. And they can go, I can use this to help me get there.
I can leverage this to myself. Yeah.
I've come across that.
So, I don't know. Overall, man, I actually think Bondi was probably a pretty good dude. I'd hang with the dude. I'd do business with a guy like that. But
I don't actually know. I thought Bondi had a Ponzi scheme, so I could be very wrong.
I think you're missing here with Scafey.
I don't know.
Scase.
I don't know who that is.
Scafey. Anyway. It was worth a read, but yeah, the Bond Corporation owned
Lots.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they kind of tried to fix the housing crisis at that point in time, because WA is one of these places that's constantly in and out of a housing crisis. It's literally the only place where this is one tip if you're talking, obviously, a real estate agent and a builder. The thing I always learned was at no point is there not going to be a housing crisis coming, because we're either oversupplied or undersupplied. We're never steady supply.
No.
Because a steady supply would be smart. And Western Australia is the back end of Australia's economy. We haven't built what they built in the East Coast. We haven't built tourism hubs. We haven't built business hubs. We just have hole digging hubs and houses to get built. So when everyone's working on the mines, we build a bunch of houses, and then when mining fucks off, which happens every time that things get a little bit nice in the world. So at the moment, WA is probably the best investment in the fucking world, because everything's getting bombed. And what are bombs made out of? Iron. And where's iron come from? Our ground. And then if you want to get smart bombs, you need lithium, because that's the batteries. So like anyone who owns shit in WA right now is probably going to make a fucking stupid amount of money, because I don't think this bombing is going to stop for another 6 to 10 years. So we're probably in the best place in the world right now.
Well,
but
there's certainly worse places to invest.
Well, I just think this is, if you look at I base this totally off graphs and charts of the history of reasons why WA has fucking boomed. We boomed heavily in 2008 till 2012.
Yep.
Because of the global financial crisis, which was where a bunch of bullshit got exposed, dropped, and then everyone's like, mines, let's build more. This is the only way we fix it. China probably was like, let's take all the fucking iron so we can build up a bomb base, so we can make sure we can take America because they're fucking up. So we made a fuck ton of money, and then everyone moved over here because it's easier to fly from here to the mines, blah, blah, blah. We're in that spot again. We're there. It's happening a different way to what I expected. But there's something bad about to happen. And when that does happen, Western Australia goes through the roof. We go up to 1 million. I at this point, now there's a war. You've known I've been saying this for a while. I think the median house price is going to hit 1 million in WA. I've probably been saying this for about 5 years. But I think it's going to hit there. With this war,
Well,
and the craziest shit I believe, there's a possibility we go even higher than that, which is...
look, here's the deal. If you keep saying the Perth market's going to hit 2 million, eventually you'll be right.
Yeah, but I mean like in the short term, not the fucking...
Yeah.
Not the like 50-year term. Well, not
I get that.
50, let's say 20, because realistically it only needs to double one more time after it hits 1 mil,
So-
which is only like 10 to 15 off.
Every metric, man, points to house prices going up, except for one: wage growth.
Yeah, but that always gets fixed eventually.
I don't know.
It doesn't look like it's going to, but at all points in the past, it's never looked like it was going to. Because what happens is, if things get too far on the revolty side, they fix it. Something changes it.
So you saying the people should need to revolt?
Oh, I'll fucking say it on the podcast too often. I'm going to get in a terrorist list if I keep saying it.
You're going to be on a watch list.
I probably already am. I've said enough shit in the last fucking 8 years where I'm definitely on someone's watch list. But I think for sure, like, if money is the only thing that can truly turn a revolt, right? And money is pretty fucking tight for a lot of people right now.
Yep.
And if you do the math, it's tax. It's fucking tax. So if you make it so that it doesn't work out that your quality of life is equal to the amount of money you can't get your hands on, there will be a revolt, because it just has to happen. But if you go to somewhere like a city in Europe where like no one owns a property, everyone's renting, but their quality of life is still so great, they're like, we love it here, this is the best, then it's fine, because they can justify living there. But if you have like shitty suburbs where like cunts are just surviving still, you get enough of them, terrorism is going to... That's the third world countries have like fucking rebel groups. Because it's just too much like suffering in a place where there's not enough, like there shouldn't be. So radicalisation will happen. But I think Australia is so small in population and so wealthy in the top end that they will never allow radicalisation, and they can always just like, we can just and this sounds very like Illuminati, the whole world's controlled by shit, but the more you look into it, there's definitely groups that control things. They exist. Don't fucking, it's not, maybe not the Illuminati, but maybe not one group, but there is definitely a lot of groups that have a lot of control. Has anyone heard of the Order of Malta? Look that up and then you'll fucking have a fun little time. That's one that's just like blowing my mind. Whatever. That's the Army of the Vatican, just for fun. That's not even a country anymore, but they're still on the UN.
Yep.
Make sense of that. And most of the people in it are like ex-CIA. Make any sense of that? Malta's not even part of the US. What the fuck? Anyway, went too far. Sorry.
We were going to have relevant conspiracy theories as part of our conversation, right?
That's all relevant. It is relevant. It's just like there is powers out there that try and do stuff. That's fact. That's a big corporation is a bunch of cunts trying to figure out how to extract money.
So
that's what the government is.
So we're talking about this conspiracy. Let's bring this back to a world that you and I understand. In real estate, you're in building.
Yes.
Right? Let's talk about it. You ready to talk about it?
I'm already there. Yeah, it's fine.
You're already there. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Right? So how is it that all of a sudden West Australia has a water pressure issue? Is this a thing we ever had here? I used to see it.
I still haven't. I haven't witnessed it. You were telling me about it, but you sell houses. I sell new stuff, so I don't cop the water pressure stuff. You do.
Righto. So I always saw this thing on sitcoms about water pressure. You know, Kramer. It's like the water pressure, right? Different buildings, different water pressures.
They're in like multi-level apartment buildings, so it's more likely it's a building as opposed to a suburb. Whereas here
building or a suburb,
we have suburbs.
But in the suburbs that have predominantly been really first home orientated, we have a massive, all of a sudden, since a certain event, which I'll talk about after, occurred, we have a massive water pressure issue. Now, the water pressure issue has occurred where, and all of a sudden, you're just not getting enough water pressure. Like, you're not getting enough water out of the hose to water the garden, just an absolute trickle from the shower. It's a thing that's happening, right?
And the water pressure is literally built up from how fast the water is pushing through a pipe in an area.
Yes. And the areas that seem to be having the biggest water pressure issues are the areas where there is predominantly first home buyers, first home buyer type market, that first home buyer, that entry level, that absolute bottom end where we used to pump out house and land packages for
people that want to get into their first home.
$280,000 to $400,000 was our price range at the time where we were pushing those house and land packages. Those house and land packages now are about $700,000 in those areas. And there is a
6 to 8, yeah.
massive issue with a thing called Iplex piping, which was produced in Wangara, which was used
predominantly BJC builds.
Predominantly in BJC builds.
Yeah, there was a couple other building companies. There's a massive lawsuit at the moment. I think it's like hitting a class action of like up to $1 billion. If you don't know, people listening, look this up. There is quite literally a bunch of pipes that were used in a bunch of builds that have burst and fucked up a lot of houses.
Now, if I was
that are getting repaired, there is a process to get these repaired. But continue.
You can give them a link if you want.
I can't be fucked finding the link. Look it up yourself. If your house has got that problem, that's your problem, not mine. Sorry.
If you purchased a house,
you should have bought a fucking house from me because I made sure I worked at a builder that didn't sell these fucking pipes.
Are you 100% sure that the company that you work for at the time?
I'm in one of these houses. I fucking stressed the fuck out massively.
You checked?
I've checked.
All right. Can you check my place too?
I freaked out.
All
right. So just so we know, when the news broke that this was happening in the building industry, I shit brick because I was like, there's a fucking chance the company I was working at was selling them at that time. They sold a lot of, like, I made sure I was working at a builder that sells like good quality stuff.
Yep.
But there wasn't, when we both worked there, and I always made sure they had good shit. That was my thing. I was like, I know that the quality of the materials is good because that's what matters in a house to me. The quality of the materials. You know that they have to warranty their best.
I never looked into the plumbing piping though.
What would you? At no point is anyone thinking of looking at the piping in a fucking house.
It's like I'm looking at tap fittings, I'm looking at the quality of the stone, I'm looking at the tiles, I'm looking at the plaster, the
windows.
The bricks. What are you using? Oh, we're using Affinity windows. Okay, could be Jason would be better, but okay, these are fine. But ultimately...
Never looked at the pipes until the lawsuit started coming out.
Yep.
And I was like, did we use them pipes? Are all my clients going to fucking hate me? We never use them pipes.
In those areas where... What percentage would you suggest? I mean, considering there was...
Market share of BJC at that point in time, I would say would be over 50%.
Over 50%. They were just signing up deals left, right and centre.
Just for reference to anyone listening, this is some super inside information that we had. A lot of the building companies you've seen were all technically owned by BJC pre-COVID. So when I say most, I say the entire Ventura Group was owned by BJC.
All of J Corp?
All of J Corp owned by BJC. All of BJC was owned by BJC. But you're probably like, who was that included? If I make the list, I'm not going to. But it was...
Homestart, Smart Homes, Ventura Homes, Aussie Living Homes.
I already said Homestart. There's so many...
National Homes. There was all the... There was
a lot.
There was Homestart, and what was the other first home buyer brand on the other side of BGC? It was the... But
too many. There was too many, man. There was too many fucking names.
Impressions. It was sort of like 30 brands. Go Homes. Commodore Homes.
Commodore Homes in there,
didn't mention Commodore Homes. Like, how many deals did you lose to Commodore and Go?
I would barely lose to Commodore unless it was early days, because my exact wording was if someone wanted a cheap house, I would say this. Like, I can't give you a cheap house. I was like, you want a cheap house? You can call my mate Rad. He works at Commodore Homes. He'll give you the cheapest house. It'll be the cheapest fucking house you can get. I can't beat their prices, but it's a cheap house. Yeah. Do you want a cheap house? You want a good house? What do you want? And then if they went to Rad, I'd be like, it's your problem.
So in those areas where we would suggest that over 50% was BGC, and then a lot of companies, including even some of, Delstrat, if somebody's saying to me, I'm looking at one of the Delstrat, building companies.
They had iPlex.
They had iPlex at the time. Now, if somebody says to me, I'm looking at Delstrat today, I'm like, yeah, well, they're a family West Australian build. They're pretty reasonable, but they were using the iPlex product. Why wouldn't they? They're based in Wangara. The iPlex was being manufactured in Wangara. Like, you're not going to not use the piping company that's like next two doors down. It's dumb. You're going to use them. So for reference for everyone, when it comes to when we're saying all these building company names are all owned by BGC, the reason we say it is because there is some builders that will have 3 brands. BGC had 3-4 top brands that had their 4 or 5 companies inside them. So when you looked at every builder that existed that was selling more than fucking 20 homes a year, because some builders, if you sell less than 20 homes a year, I just count you as a small builder. You don't really count. You're too boutique. You don't count.
But anything more than that, where they actually had sales teams and shit, BGC was more than 50% of the market, and they were just pumping shit out.
Plus, we had other entry-level building companies, which we can go into, but we won't.
Yeah.
But ultimately, in these first home buyer type communities, we're talking probably 70% of them during those times had the iPlex piping.
I would say probably close to 60.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden,
maybe more,
with all of these lawsuits going on, in those estates, we're having massive, massive water pressure issues.
Interesting.
Isn't it interesting that the largest building company that owns a huge section of the supply chain that's been accused of monopoly can...
Well, they all have...
Because if the water pressure drops...
into the land developers as well, so they could easily drop the water pressure in an area. I'm not saying they're doing it, but it's a possibility because...
It's a mighty big... fucking coincidence is that's
there's low
that's
water
my
pressure
thing.
in those areas, yeah.
Because I'm looking at it.
Because if you're a new area, like these new suburbs, they know how much. They're master planned. This is the thing that happens. They're master planned. They are planned out for every house that's going to get built before it's built, with a minimum of this area is going to hold this many houses. They have to do that nowadays. They didn't do it as much before.
It's a master planned community that's going to house 18,000 homes.
So they know how much water is going to need to be running through there to have certain pressures. So you would think if they've planned it so well, there shouldn't be low water pressure, should there?
So that would be the assumption. So all
Why
of a
is there low
sudden,
water pressure?
why is the water pressure dropping in the areas where the Iplex piping is most prevalent?
And will the water pressure go up once the lawsuit's lapsed?
Will the
Because there is a time frame on it. There is. If you find out you have these pipes in your house, I would stress test the fuck out of them because there is a time period where if they burst, they will go. It's not our problem anymore. Just check up. Honestly, if you own a house, I highly suggest.
what was the time frame? Was it 2000?
I don't know what the time frame is. I can't remember.
I think it was 2016 to 2022 or something.
But I would say if you own a house, 100%. If you got a plumber friend as well, it's like, hey man, come around and just check.
Just check my pipes.
Something for Iplex on.
And figure out how to actually increase the pressure load to your home to pump it through to see if these pipes have some kind of issue. Because obviously, all of a sudden, with low water pressure in the areas that are predominantly having this kind of issue, they're not getting stress tested. The pipes don't burst. You don't get a chance to sue.
It's not even suing anymore. You just claim.
But
They're fixing the problems when they go.
But you have
the
issue has to occur. Yep. But with the water pressure down, the issues don't occur. So this is a fresh conspiracy theory. And let's define what a conspiracy theory is. A conspiracy is a bunch of people going, I think they're conspiring against us. So there's conspiracy actualization, like they're clearly doing this. This is a thing that's happening. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a actual conspiracy. Then there's a conspiracy theory. And the theory is, let's explain what the theory is and who came up with this theory. I came up with this theory that somehow the building companies who have worked with this particular piping have somehow infiltrated the water supply system to reduce the water pressure in the areas that they are most likely to be liable. It is a theory. It is not an actual tested
You don't have
thing.
any proof.
I have no proof. All I have is just a hunch that, oh, look,
Something sus is going on.
there's a water pressure issue here. These people can't water their gardens. And that's an area where roughly 60 to 70% of the houses would have this particular piping that's prone to burst under pressure. It all seems a little bit odd.
It does.
It does seem odd.
I agree.
Right? So that's why it's a conspiracy theory. And
No, it's not proven yet.
No.
We'll probably never find out, to be honest.
So we should, I think for the purpose of explaining the difference between a conspiracy theory and a conspiracy fact.
Oh, these people know. They're good.
Okay, cool.
They're good.
Yeah, but
My listeners have brains.
Okay, cool. I love that. But I'd like to divulge on a couple of conspiracy facts.
What, the Gulf of
For
Tonkin?
example, I don't know. What's a good conspiracy fact?
What? Which one? I don't know.
Let's go with. Okay. Let's go with.
Well, we're in war times, so let's go with a wartime one. The Gulf of Tonkin is a really fun one to look up.
Okay.
Which is a false flag, which they did at the start of the Vietnam War so they could convince that we should invade Vietnam. That was done by the American government so they could invade. So if that happens, just remember that sometimes people will die by the government's hand of the same government so they can go, hey, we need to go kill people.
Okay, and I'm going to go.
Don't join, if you're in Australia, don't join the Army, the Navy, or the Air Force at this point in time. You might end up going to get murdered for no reason.
I'm going to go with a really easy one. The COVID vaccine was clearly utilised to transfer wealth from certain nations into the hands of the global elites.
I say,
That's
look,
conspiracy fact.
it depends on how you say the fact, right?
Did I say that fact wrong? I think I nailed that.
I just think it was people took advantage of a situation to extract money. I don't think the entire thing was a complete plan. Oh. I think there's factions, it was parts of it that were a greed-driven idea. Oh. And then once things started unfolding, they seen a way to jump on that.
So based on your understanding, a huge component of my understanding is still in theory stage. But that's okay.
Because you're just like you're giving too much credit in my eyes.
But you know the difference between conspiracy and fact, right?
Yeah.
6 months.
No, sometimes. Sometimes it's 10 years. No, but it's like, so I think of it like in the way of, we'll probably wrap it up in 5 or 10.
Yeah. I wanted to do one piece.
Oh, well, let's wrap it up now. And we're back. And we've decided that we're going to finish it here. So, Yeah, thanks for listening so far. Cheers for coming on, Ian.
Cheers, man.
Is there anything you need to promo? Of course, I know the answer to this.
Look, there's always promo. Look, I am looking to basically. I had such a horrible time growing up and being treated the way I was treated by employers and stuff like that. And real estate is one of the toughest areas that people can crack into. Right? People go, oh, I want to be a real estate agent. Now, when I was moving into real estate agent, I spoke to some people and they said, oh, if you work really hard, but it's such a hard industry to crack because all these people have been in it for a very long time. But, if you work really hard for 3 or 4 years, you might be able to get to that point that you're sort of doing, 20 consistently a year. And, well, turns out that was complete delusion because I'm doing over 80, possibly 100 in the last 12 months. I've been doing this for 3 years. But I'm always getting contact from people. They're like, oh, my son's looking for a job, my daughter's looking for a job, right? And if somebody wanted to start in real estate, there's no small jobs for them to do. It's either the whole job or you can't really do it. And that's what we're going to be doing over the next 12 months, is trying to break it down into smaller jobs so that we have entry-level positions for people to be able to come in where they can provide value to us and actually gain some knowledge and insight. So there's an entry-level job, because that doesn't exist. There's too many real estate agents out there. They're like, oh, if you deal with me, you're not going to be dealing with my admin support and my team. It's me the whole way through. Well, that means, one, you're not sharing. You're not giving other people opportunity. You're just keeping it all for yourself. And two, you're wasting your best skill set doing stuff that you could be farming out, which means you're not giving the best to your customers.
Yeah,
so
because I think an easy way I can explain this in my head to people is writing fucking pointless shitty emails to 1,000 people to make sure 1,000 people see that this property's on the market isn't the best use of a salesperson's skill, because the best person with a salesperson's skill is talking to the 5 people out of that 1,000 that genuinely want to buy a house.
Yep. And you don't want your salesperson who's selling your home spending time on someone else's house writing up a variation for a technical detail because something wasn't worded 100% exactly satisfactory to somebody's standard. So I am at the moment, in the last 2 years, I have put on multiple full-time staff members to deal with all of this so that I can move forward with the bigger picture stuff. And ultimately, if you're looking for someone to sell your house and actually look after you properly, I'm your guy. But also, if you are looking for someone who is going to be providing better opportunities and not just trying to keep it all for himself, I get it, and I'm creating better work opportunities. I've got this killer work experience kid coming on with me next week, man. The principal of the school calls me up, hey, can you take on a work experience kid? Absolutely. They were going to try and sell it to me, and I'm like, nah, you're the principal of my son's school, man. Like, done. Done. Like, who is he? Right, cool. Where's he got to be? I don't know. Like, I'll be at the gym at 9. He can meet me there. Like, that's how that's going to be. So I'm
going to be at the gym at 9. He can meet me there.
Yeah.
Imagine your work experience starting at the gym. That is a genius. Like, start your day off with getting yourself good.
I don't want to show him the shit side of the job. I want to show him, hey, this is a good life.
The job.
Right?
Well, even then, it's like you're getting him to start his day with looking after himself.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is not a thing that many workplaces will do.
No one teaches you that. No one, like, it's just
not no one there. It's definitely some.
Oh,
you're doing it.
I'm doing it. So I'm trying to create something where, well, there's genuine opportunity for a lot of people, and not just me just trying to load up my pockets. And absolutely, do I want to load up my pockets? I'm a big fan of money. I want to get paid. But I don't. Everything that I went through with trying to find my place in the employment world after being rejected by the schooling world, it was too painful, and it just shouldn't be like that. So at the moment, that's the goal over the next 2 years, is refining the way people can actually enter the industry so that we can provide a better level of service than most agents who want to, I'm the real estate agent and I do everything. You shouldn't be if you're good at your job, because if you're doing paperwork that can be outsourced for $25 an hour, you're not delivering the thousands of dollars worth of service that you're supposed to be providing to your clients. Yep. So that's where I'm going with it. And that's not an invitation for everyone to come and hit me up for a job because I'm getting that anyway. I'm trying to create something so that if somebody does hit me up from a genuine space, that I can actually say, you know what? Yeah, there's a thing that I can get you doing that's going to take a load off so that we can focus on more important things, and then you've got an inroad. And that's the goal over the next few years, because I personally feel the industry needs a massive, massive change, which I've spoken to you and I've talked about one of my favourite influencers, even though I despise the guy, but I love the guy that Purple Pingers, that Jordan Vanderlam guy. Because I believe that, look, I come from a union mindset. Workers should, have a joint mindset and work together and look after each other. But it was so absent in the work environment that I grew up in. And even
you
though
want to be the change.
I want to be the change, man. I'm working on it. So hopefully I can. But obviously without ongoing community support, which I've had amazing runs of community support over the last few years, but without that community support, it's just not a thing that can ever happen.
Yeah. And without, obviously, sales.
Yes.
So, in that regard, if you are looking to sell your house, Ian's your guy.
Hit me up. I want to look after you. And I'll do better things with the money than other real estate agents.
Yeah, he gives some of it to us.
That man, that's one of the big things, man. See, that's a whole other topic, man. I want to start talking about my all ages festival idea, but we've got to leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll do that again when that's more in the works.
Yep. Because, man, I was
music is a place where people don't go to die.
That's it. We don't go there to die. We touched on it. But, man, do you remember how those festivals used to be? Like, you go there when you were 15 and it was just...
15.
Oh, dude. I went to gigs. I went to Big Day Out. Saw Rage Against the Machine when I was 14. All right?
Yeah, I didn't.
That's Oval, man.
I did bad shit when I was a kid.
Okay. But that's absent now.
Yeah.
The big festivals that were all ages, now it's just 18 plus because they want to serve as much alcohol as they
There's still
can.
fuck all festivals anyway.
And yeah, there's very little, and it's all geared towards consuming as much alcohol as possible. So
It's just geared to making money.
Every dollar. It's it. It's not about the music, which I remember back in the day was what the Big Day Out guys set out to do. They got a couple of big names, smaller names, and they filled it up. It gave people opportunity. It gave people a day out, and it wasn't ridiculously expensive. So that's going to be my thing. Is once I do actually get some proper financial backing, because my staffing bill's huge right now, by the way. My staffing bill is way more than what I used to earn.
But that means you're paying them good.
Yes, I'm looking after them. But ultimately, once I get that going and I actually have some resources, I want to see some cool stuff. That's the goal.
Make cool shit happen.
Make cool shit happen.
Maybe you'll be the next Alan Bond without being falling the criminal side of things.
Maybe I can formulate something as big and as attractive as America's Cup without getting caught up into some Ponzi scheme that my mate told me to sign off on that eventually sends me to jail. That would be the goal.
Perfect way to end it.
I love it.
Cheers for coming on.